Chapter 1153. Saying that, without waiting for Ning Cheng to answer, a grey stone stele suddenly descended from the burial shadow blue sand, revealing a clear passage in front of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng saw Qi Shixingsing running at the end of the passage created by the grey stele, but Ning Cheng didn't see any woman. Ning Cheng raised his hand, and strands of Dao charm power transformed into a law thread that wrapped around Qi Shixingsing, who was running away. Qi Shixingsing paused for a moment. But before he could release any lightning arcs, Ning Cheng brought him to his side. Qi Shixingsing looked at Ning Cheng with some confusion, seemingly trying to recall what had just happened. Ning Cheng raised his hand and threw a few medicinal pills into Qi Shixingsing's mouth before patting Qi Shixingsing's glabella. Ah! Qi Shixingsing's eyes finally recovered a bit of sobriety. He then asked in surprise, "Ning Cheng, why are you here? What's wrong with you?" Like a headless fly running around the burial shadow blue sand. Ning Cheng immediately asked. Qi Shixingsing frowned and lowered his head. After thinking for a while, he suddenly looked up and said, "Yes, I saw Yuqian." After saying that, Qi Shixingsing finally understood what was going on. He was just about to say something when he looked up and saw the dense crowd of cultivators behind Ning Cheng. This is... Qi Shixingsing looked at the Grand Essence Dao Court army behind Ning Cheng in amazement and asked in surprise. Ning Cheng patted Qi Shixingsing on the shoulder. The Grand Essence realm established a Dao Court, and they are the Grand Essence Dao Court's army. This time, the Taisu Dao Court's army is here to completely seal off the blue sand burial shadows. There are some things I'll tell you later when we get back. Qi Shixingsing didn't seem to care about what Ning Cheng wanted to say to him. Instead, he quickly sent a sound transmission to Ning Cheng. "Ning Cheng, I obtained the inheritance of the Grand Essence Spirit Thunder. Just like your Seven Bridges Spirit technique, I need the Grand Essence Spirit Thunder bead. Otherwise, I would have passed it all to you." Ning Cheng showed a smile. "I have enough spirit techniques. You don't have to worry about me. Leave this place with me now. We can talk about other things later." Qi Shixingsing's face showed a trace of sadness. "Ning Cheng, I'm sorry. I can't go with you now. I'm not strong enough to take revenge, so there's no use in going back. I must find Yuqian and take her with me. There seems to be something wrong with Yuqian's mind. She's been running around like crazy. I can't just leave her here." Ning Cheng sighed. 13. Did you know that when I found you, you also had some mental problems? You were almost lost and became a buried shadow fiend in the buried shadow blue sand. To Ning Cheng's surprise, Qi Shixingsing nodded and sent a voice transmission to Ning Cheng. "Actually, I knew it would be like this. My Grand Essence Spirit Thunder bead has always been guarding my mind. I would never get lost. I put all my effort into chasing after Yuqian. Don't worry about me. I'll be more careful this time. Also, I want to tell you something. The buried shadow blue sand is actually not a place, but it's a weapon, and this weapon's artifact spirit is the grey stone stele, right?" Ning Cheng didn't wait for Qi Shixingsing to finish and spoke up. Qi Shixingsing nodded and asked in confusion, "How do you know?" When Ning Cheng heard Qi Shixingsing's words, he knew that his guess was correct. He was even more shocked in his heart. The burial shadow blue sand was a Dharma treasure. How terrifying was this Dharma treasure? But how did Qi Shixingsing know about it? Qi Shixingsing didn't wait for Ning Cheng to answer and continued, "That grey stone stele isn't the real artifact spirit. The real artifact spirit of the burial shadow blue sand seems to have been killed. A new life has taken over this grey stone stele. This thing wants to replace the previous artifact spirit and become the new artifact spirit. But until now, it hasn't completely succeeded. You can rest assured that the Grand Essence Spirit Thunder is the nemesis of that grey stone stele. It can't do anything to me. I will be more careful in the future. I'm very worried about Yuqian. I have to go in and find her. I'll leave first and come back to you soon. After saying that, Qi Shixingsing didn't want to say anything else. He directly rushed into the burial shadow blue sand and quickly disappeared. He didn't ask Ning Qing how he got together with the Grand Essence Dao Court's army, nor did he ask why the Grand Essence Dao Court's army sealed the burial shadow blue sand. From this, one could tell how important Yuqian was to him and how difficult it was to part with her. The grey stone stele still stood not far from Ning Qing. Ning Qing didn't continue to chase after Qi Shixingsing. Instead, he spoke with a deep voice, "I can stop attacking this place, but you have to compensate my Grand Essence Dao Court's army for the losses. 20 top-grade spirit veins, 10,000 high-grade spirit veins, 10 billion spirit crystals. 50,000 Dao fruits of all kinds, 100,000 divine grasses of all kinds." Ning Qing had asked for a lot of things, but he knew that it was impossible to get all of them. Since the burial shadow blue sand was a weapon, he had to reconsider how to deal with the burial shadow blue sand. What's more, Qi Shixingsing had already entered the burial shadow blue sand. Once he forced the grey stone stele to make a desperate move, it wouldn't bring him any benefits. Even Shixingsing, who was inside, would be affected. In the future, when his cultivation grew stronger, he might be able to take away this weapon. Even if he didn't use it, this weapon suppression array would definitely be a super powerful one. You asked for too much. I can only give you a small half of everything. The grey stone stele's hoarse voice sounded out again. Ning Qing immediately understood that his price wasn't too outrageous. Since the grey stone stele only said a small half, it meant that the wealth of the burial shadow blue sand was far beyond his understanding. Initially, he thought that the grey stone stele would only say 1% at most. But now that it said a small half, it showed that the price he asked for was a bit too much. Alas, he had never seen the world before. "Sorry, I won't leave without a single crystal stone." Ning Qing spoke with an even firmer tone. This grey stone stele truly wanted to be an artifact spirit. However, this fellow's intelligence only hovered around the level of an artifact spirit. After Ning Qing said those words in an affirmative tone, the grey stone stele fell silent. After a while, it said, "I agree. Once I give you the things, you have to leave now." Ning Qing smiled, "Of course. Once you give me the things, you have to make an oath. That is, you won't do anything to Yuqian and my friend Qi Shixingsing. Otherwise, I would have come again. Remember when I burned a trace of your soul last time? Next time, my means will be even more terrifying." The grey stone stele subconsciously shuddered before grinding its teeth in a hoarse voice, "I swear that if the Grand Essence Dao Court's army retreats and I still have thoughts about Yuqian and Qi Shixingsing, my 3 spiritual and 6 physical souls will never be complete." Ning Qing secretly despised it in his heart. "You're an artifact spirit. What does it matter if your 3 spiritual and 6 physical souls are incomplete? Moreover, you're not a human to begin with. Making such an oath is the same as not making it. You can't make this oath. You have to do it this way. You are now a parasite in the grey stone stele of the burial shadow blue sand. If you have any bad thoughts about Qi Shixingsing and Yuqian, the divine thunder will turn you into nothingness." Hearing Ning Qing's vicious words, the grey stone stele felt hatred in its heart. It originally wanted to be an artifact spirit. Now that it made this oath, it had to abide by it. If it didn't abide by it, it would turn into ashes. Only if its strength surpassed the heavenly Tao would it be able to ignore its oath to the heavenly Tao. Looking at the large number of array flags in Ning Qing's hand, the grey stone stele felt helpless. It could only follow Ning Qing's instructions and make the oath again. Then, it threw a ring to Ning Qing and couldn't wait to disappear into the burial shadow blue sand. Ning Qing took the ring and checked it. Everything he wanted was there, which made him feel very satisfied. The Grand Essence Realm's Dao Court's army, under the leadership of Dao Lord Ning Qing, went to the burial shadow blue sand of the Grand Essence ruins and returned to the Heaven Essence sacred city. Everyone knew about this matter in a short time. After this incident, several things happened in the Grand Essence domain. The most serious one was that the Dao Court's army under Fei Feng showed signs of loosening up. Some people even started to cause trouble and got killed. The main reason was Ning Cheng's Dao Lord transfer order to the Grand Essence Realm's army. All the cultivators of the Dao Court's army who obeyed Dao Lord's order to go to the Grand Essence ruins received a lot of rewards. Those who didn't go naturally didn't receive any rewards. River Luo Sacred Sect Master Wang Huazhong and Silver Dragon Clan's Patriarch Gong Wu didn't have time to express their stance. Therefore, even if the Dao Court's army wanted to blame someone, it wouldn't be the two of them. However, Fei Feng clearly put forward an objection to the army. Not only did he openly refute Dao Lord's order, but he also made it so that all the cultivators of the Dao Court's army didn't receive any benefits. When did Dao Lord Ning Cheng do anything wrong? When the Grand Change Realm's Dao Court's army invaded the Grand Essence Realm, under Dao Lord Ning Cheng's leadership, which cultivator of the Dao Court's army didn't receive a lot of rewards. But now, they weren't fighting with other Dao Court's army. They were just responding to Dao Lord's order to go to the Grand Essence ruins. Fei Feng even stopped this. Apparently, he didn't want everyone to make a fortune. As for Dai Fu's Dao Court's army, because of the strength of the 9 revolutions sacred Dao Pond, she had almost complete control over the Dao Court's army. Therefore, no one dared to express their dissatisfaction. Li Feng was the first court pillar, and everyone knew that he was Dao Lord's strongest supporter. Therefore, it was normal for the Dao Court's army under his command not to go to the Grand Essence ruins. Only the Dao Court's army under Fei Feng's command grew more and more noisy. Fei Feng couldn't even suppress it. In fact, everyone knew what was going on. Fei Feng's position as the sect master of the Profound Moon Spirit Gate wasn't righteous. Many of the Profound Moon Spirit Gate's experts he brought to lead the Dao Court's army were loyal to Qi Zhonggui. Now that someone in the Dao Court army was against Fei Feng, these leaders who were loyal to Qi Zhonggui naturally turned a blind eye to it. In addition to this, Ning Cheng, as the Dao Lord of the Grand Essence Realm, had privately summoned the 11th Army and the Guardian Army to the Grand Essence ruins. What did this mean? No matter what it meant, these two things had to be resolved in advance. As Dao Lord Ning Cheng of the Grand Essence Dao Court returned to the Heaven Essence Sacred City, all the experts of the Grand Essence Dao Court gathered. Even if some sects didn't come, Ning Cheng took the initiative to invite them to the Heaven Essence Sacred City's Dao Court to discuss important matters. Chapter 1154. In the Dao Court's throne room, the 10 court pillars and the sect masters of the major sects in Heaven Essence Sacred City were all present. These sects were the main component of the Grand Essence Dao Court's army. Apart from them, there were many rogue cultivators. Dao Unification Holy Emperors, apart from Kong Xiushan, no one else came. Kong Xiushan seemed to be very enthusiastic about the Dao Court's affairs. Every time Ning Cheng held a big meeting in the throne room, he would inevitably attend. Ning Cheng glanced at the people in the throne room. He knew that as his Dao Lord status became more and more stable, these sect masters who originally worked with him would feel more and more uneasy. Court pillars, sect masters, Dao friends, because my Grand Essence Dao Court is different from the Grand Change Realm, under normal circumstances, we do things through consultation. Except for the last time when I had an urgent matter, so I issued a Dao Lord order. I also thank the Dao Court's army for not forgetting me and bringing troops to the Grand Essence ruins to help me. Why was I, Tai Su, able to defeat the Dao Court army that invaded Tai Yi? I believe everyone knows. Because of unity. Because our Grand Essence Dao Court is united, we can defeat the strong and win. As Ning Cheng's words reached this point, many people disagreed with him in their hearts. Because of unity, the weak defeated the strong, I'm afraid not. The reason why the Grand Essence Realm could defeat the Grand Change Dao Court's army was because of Ning Cheng's hidden killing array. To be honest, it had nothing to do with the weak defeating the strong. Ning Cheng's face sank, and his tone became a lot more severe. But I found that our Grand Essence Dao Court's army didn't realize the impending crisis. Instead, they started to fight among themselves. I heard that several Dao Court soldiers were executed. Our Dao Court's army didn't die on the battlefield, but died in the hands of their own people. It's really chilling. Every Dao Court soldier is our treasure. If we execute them at will, how can our Grand Essence Dao Court's army still have any unity? A man surrounded by water Qi Dao charm suddenly walked out from the side and bowed. Dao Lord, Gong Wu has something to report. Everyone looked at Gong Wu in shock, the patriarch of the Silver Dragon clan. This kind of action and words completely treated Ning Cheng as a Dao Lord, without the slightest bit of arrogance. One had to know that although Ning Cheng was a Dao Lord, most of the court pillars only cupped their fists when speaking. This was also a major feature of the Grand Essence Dao Court. Now that Gong Wu bowed and greeted Ning Cheng as Dao Monarch, wouldn't it mean that she had truly acknowledged Ning Cheng's identity as Dao Monarch? But after thinking about it for a while, everyone understood. The words that Ning Cheng had spoken before obviously meant that he wanted to settle the accounts after the fall. The people who were executed for causing trouble were all from Fei Feng's Fourth Court army. Fei Feng was the one who opposed sending out troops in response to Dao Monarch Ning Cheng's order. Previously, because of Gong Wu's hesitation, he didn't get the chance to send out troops. But this time, he was the first to stand up and respond to Ning Cheng's order. Ning Cheng nodded and spoke in a calm voice, "Palace Pillar, if you have something to say, then please speak." Gong Wu took out a jade slip and said in a clear voice, "In the past month, 16 soldiers of the Fourth Dao Court have been executed due to minor incidents of grumbling. Not only did this not stop the complaints, the number of Dao Court soldiers who were complaining also increased. Many Dao Court soldiers started to retreat from the Dao Court army, and this even affected the rest of the Dao Court army. I think that if this continues, the Taisu Dao Court will collapse without a fight." With that, Gong Wu directly handed over the jade strip to Ning Cheng. Gong Wu claimed to be a court official and directly targeted Fei Feng. Just as Ning Cheng was about to settle the accounts, Fei Feng's face turned as black as a pot. Now that Gong Wu was throwing stones at Ning Cheng while he was down, his face turned as black as a pot. After Ning Cheng looked at the jade slip, he looked at Li Feng calmly and asked, "Court Pillar Li, is this true?" Li Feng stepped forward and bowed. "Dao Monarch, I have investigated this matter, and it is completely true." Li Feng also bowed to Ning Cheng with a true Dao Monarch's etiquette. Clearly, he wanted to support Ning Cheng to become a true Dao Monarch, and not continue to be a middleman. Fei Feng walked out politely, cupped his fists, and said, "Dao Monarch Ning, although this matter is true, those dozen people in the Dao Court army misled the masses. In order to stabilize the Dao Court army, I killed one to warn the others." Ning Cheng said calmly, "Sect Master Fei, the Fourth Dao Court army is under your command, and it does not belong to you personally. Just like how I control the Dao Court is also not my personal possession. I have something that I need to discuss with everyone." But Sect Master Fei, not only did you not discuss such a big matter, you even used capital punishment on your own. If this continues, the Taisu Dao Court's army won't even need to be pulled out. They will automatically collapse. Fei Feng's face turned ugly. He looked at Dai Fu, only to find that Dai Fu, who had encouraged him before, did not seem to have any intention of saying a word. He immediately felt disappointed. Helplessly, Fei Feng said, "In that case, I will hand the Fourth Dao Court army over to Deputy Sect Master." Ning Cheng waved his hand, "It is not up to you to decide who to hand over the Dao Court army. Fei Feng, you disregarded the laws of the Taisu Dao Court army, and as a court pillar, you still do what you want. Now, you are stripped of your court pillar position, and the Fourth Dao Court army will be replaced by Zhu Fenghen. Zhu Fenghen will be one of the 10 court pillars, ranked 10th. Zhu Fenghen quickly stood up, bowed, and kept the court pillar seal. Fei Feng snorted coldly, turned around, and left. Ning Qing said calmly, Sect Master Fei, you can't leave yet. The Taisu Dao court wants to imprison you for a period of time. You can only leave after the matter is resolved. Fei Feng's face changed drastically, and he stared at Ning Qing and said sternly, Association Master Ning Qing, you are abusing your position to take revenge. Ning Qing did not even bother to speak. Zhu Fenghen had already stepped forward, and several Dao runes wrapped around Fei Feng. Fei Feng's hand moved slightly, and he was about to take out his magic treasure to resist. But when he saw the array flags in Ning Qing's hand, his heart turned cold. He knew that if he resisted, he might really be killed on the spot. He had already seen Ning Qing's means. Even the Dao monarch of the Tai glowing pearl Dao court could not escape from Ning Qing. How could he, Fei Feng, escape from Zhu Fenghen, who was much stronger than him, and Ning Qing's trap array? In that moment of hesitation, Zhu Fenghen had already locked Fei Feng. Fei Feng saw that he had lost the upper hand, so he sighed and did not continue. Dai Fu frowned slightly. She did not expect Ning Qing to not only strip Fei Feng of all his Dao court positions, but also lock him up. Dai Fu could no longer sit still, and stood up, Dao Lord Ning, I feel that this is not right. Fei Feng is a court pillar. Even if he killed a few low-level soldiers, it shouldn't be enough to lock him up, right? Ning Qing nodded, then Sect Master's words make sense. My Taisu Dao court naturally has to listen to everyone's opinions. After saying that, Ning Qing looked at the other Sect Masters and court pillars in the throne room and asked, who else has the same opinion as that Sect Master? Please speak up. Dai Fu's heart also turned cold. Ning Qing's means were too powerful. Just now, he did not address Fei Feng as court pillar, but as Sect Master Fei. In the blink of an eye, Sect Master Fei was locked up. Now that he called her Sect Master, she could not help but feel a chill in her heart. The 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pawn did have a Dao Integration Sage, but that Dao Integration Sage was not here. Even if he was here, there was still Kong Shushan. Taking a step back, even if Kong Shushan did not make a move, Ning Qing had killed a Dao Integration Sage Emperor in the past. Moreover, he had killed Man Suotian, who was stronger than the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pawn. Now that Ning Qing's strength had increased, and he had more helpers, even if Dao Ancestor Shuriqing came, it would be difficult to reverse the situation. The more Dai Fu thought about it, the more frightened she became. Unknowingly, Ning Qing had become so powerful. No one stood up to speak up for Dai Fu. Everyone was not blind. It was an ironclad fact that Ning Qing had obtained the position of a true Dao monarch. In the face of such a fact, who would stand up and oppose it without a brain? Sect Master, since you are the only one with this opinion, you need to keep your opinion to yourself. Court Pillar Zhu, take Fei Feng away. Our throne room meeting will continue. With Ning Qing's words, Zhu Fenghen grabbed Fei Feng and disappeared without hesitation. In the blink of an eye, Ning Qing took over the Dao court army in a domineering manner and even took away a court pillar. The atmosphere in the throne room turned a little strange, and it became even more solemn. Ning Qing continued, I'm afraid that the Grand Change realm will not let this go. I suggest establishing the 11th court army. I have already discussed this matter with several court pillars. Now that everyone is here, I would like to ask for everyone's opinion. It would be strange if anyone had an opinion. Your Dao court army has already been established, so who would have an opinion? Fei Feng, who had an opinion before, did not know when he would see the light of day again. Everyone stood up one after another, expressing that they had no opinion. Ning Qing also stood up and thanked everyone with cupped fists before continuing, our Grand Essence Realm's resources are too lacking, and there are too many restrictions on entry and exit from the Grand Essence Ruins and the Grand Essence Domain. I suggest that we remove these access restrictions and completely integrate the Grand Essence realm into one. This time, no one stood up to express their opinion. Everyone here was the sect masters of the major sects in the Grand Essence domain. All of their interests lay in the Grand Essence domain. If a large number of people from the Grand Essence ruins poured in, it would directly damage their interests. Ning Cheng would not compromise on this matter. If he wanted to keep the Grand Essence realm, he had to take control of the Grand Essence Dao Court army. Don't look at how the Grand Essence Dao Court army treated him as the leader right now. But in fact, that was only if there was no conflict of interest. Once there was a conflict of interest, it wouldn't be so one-sided. Moreover, the Grand Essence Dao Court army was dominated by the major sects in the Grand Essence domain. In case he had a conflict of interest with the major sects, the Grand Essence Dao Court army would not stand on his side. Now, he opened the Grand Essence domain to allow the power of the Grand Essence ruins to integrate. Rather than letting such conflicts arise in the future, it was better to start them early. Leaving Phoenix agrees to open the Grand Essence domain and remove the restrictions on the Grand Essence ruins from entering the Grand Essence domain. Ancient fairy clans leaving Phoenix stood up to support Ning Cheng. The second one to stand up was Sha Su. He walked to the middle of the throne room and bowed to Ning Cheng. Then, he cupped his fists and said, "Dao friends, Dao Monarch is wholeheartedly working for our Grand Essence realm. He's even willing to take out the Seven Bridges Realm Book and Shiyang. The reason why everyone has such scruples is that they are worried about the impact on our cultivation resources. But once the Grand Essence realm is restored, the Grand Essence ruins will no longer be a place lacking in resources. On the contrary, we can even go to the Grand Essence ruins to cultivate. Therefore, I support Dao Monarch opening the Grand Essence domain to enhance the strength of our Grand Essence realm." With the opening of the Grand Essence domain, many rogue cultivators from the Grand Essence ruins poured into the Grand Essence domain. Because of the Grand Essence Dao Court's control, the entire Grand Essence domain didn't go out of control as everyone expected. The cultivators who entered the Grand Essence domain, in addition to joining the Dao Court army, also increased the competition within the Grand Essence domain. For a time, the entire Grand Essence realm became more and more positive, and Dao Lord Ning Cheng's position became more and more stable. Of the 20 million Dao Court army, 10 million were cultivators from the Grand Essence ruins. Now that the Grand Essence Dao Court had completely stabilized, Ning Cheng wanted to go to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond, but he really didn't dare to go. Dai Fu from the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond clearly didn't want him to become the real Dao Lord Tai Su. It would be best if he, Ning Cheng, could always live behind the scenes, and become the speaker and executor of the 10 major sections. It's just that the current situation didn't develop in the direction that the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond had envisioned. Instead, it had deviated from its original track. The 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond felt helpless and could only watch on helplessly. Because of this, Ning Cheng didn't dare to go to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond. Even if he brought a few Primordial Essence Holy Emperors with him, it would still be dangerous for him to head to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond. Let's go back to Stately River Star first. Yan Ji took the initiative to speak up when she saw Ning Cheng hesitating. After sending Lu Fonglin to the Grand Essence Mountain for cultivation, she had always stayed by Ning Cheng's side. She naturally understood Ning Cheng's worries, and she also knew what kind of place the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond was. This sect was very selfish, so selfish that they even used their own disciples. Ning Cheng nodded. This was the only way. If he wanted to go to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond, he had to wait for Chu Manhe and the others to recover their cultivation. Ning Cheng took out a ring and handed it to Yan Ji. I snatched this from the Grand Change Glazed Stone Dao Court's Dao Lord Jesse. I haven't refined it yet. This should be a world. As for what kind of world it is, you can refine it. I'll leave it with you. Yan Ji knew that Ning Cheng had the mysterious yellow bead, so she didn't care about other worlds. Now that Ning Qing handed the ring to her, she didn't refuse. She put away the ring and was about to speak when she saw a ray of light fall on Ning Cheng's finger. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness fell on the light and spoke up with joy. Dao friend Chu came out. Let's hurry up and greet. Ning Cheng, you don't have to go. I'm already here. As the voice fell, two figures appeared not far from Ning Cheng and Yan Ji. It was Chu Manhe and Wu Lin. Chu Manhe looked like a young girl, but her Dao charm was restrained, just like a vast starry sky. Ning Cheng understood at a glance that Chu Manhe had recovered her strength. She definitely was a Dao perfection powerhouse, and a Dao perfection powerhouse even stronger than Man Suatian. Wu Lin also had Dao charm flowing around him, and his domain was extremely powerful. He also seemed to have recovered his strength. Senior apprentice Sister Manhe, I didn't expect you to recover your cultivation so quickly. Also, Brother Wu, your recovery speed is also unparalleled. Ning Cheng quickly came forward to greet them. After greeting them, he let Yan Ji come forward to greet them. Chu Manhe felt very happy when Ning Cheng addressed her as senior apprentice sister. It meant that Ning Cheng treated her as one of his own. She stepped forward and took Yan Ji's hand and said, Junior apprentice brother Ning really has a good vision. Sister Yan Ji has a pure physique, and her future achievements will definitely surpass mine. Brother Ning, I saw that you seem to have some difficulties. So, Sister Chu and I came here first to see if we could help. After greeting each other, Wu Lin asked directly. Wu Lin was one of the few people in the Perpetual Moon sect who suffered the least losses. Therefore, he also recovered the fastest. Chu Manhe also pretended to be expressionless. Junior apprentice brother Ning, why didn't you come to us for help? Don't you regard us as friends? Ning Cheng had to speak up, I didn't expect you to recover your strength so quickly. Otherwise, I would have invited senior apprentice sister Chu and brother Wu to accompany me. Chu Manhe spoke with some embarrassment, my cultivation caused too much of a commotion. If I continued to cultivate in the dragon cleansing pool, it would probably cause dissatisfaction. So, as soon as I recovered my cultivation, I decided to leave early. Tell me, what's the matter? Ning Cheng asked, did senior apprentice Sister Manhe fully recover her strength? After Ning Cheng finished speaking, the vast starry sky-like Dao charm aura around Chu Manhe suddenly disappeared, and she turned into an ordinary Dao confirming cultivator. If several people stood here, the last person to notice her would be an ordinary person like Chu Manhe. This showed Ning Cheng that her strength had not only recovered, but had also returned to its original state and reached a whole new level. Ning Cheng felt overjoyed and quickly cupped his fists and said, I want to go to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond. However, the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond has a Dao Perfection Holy Emperor. I wonder if senior apprentice Sister Manhe and brother Wu have the time to accompany me. Wu Lin smiled, I came here to help you fight. Naturally, I'm willing to go with you. Chu Manhe rolled her eyes at Ning Cheng and thought to herself, is there even a need to say it? The 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond had a strict distribution of ranks. The outer sect disciples and some ordinary inner sect disciples were separated from the true inheriting disciples and core disciples. Although it was the second largest sect in the Grand Essence realm, it was the most difficult sect to enter in the entire Grand Essence realm. Unless the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond held a public ceremony, very few people could enter the depths of the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond. It was completely different from other sections. As for the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Peak, it was suspended in the void. Even true inheriting disciples found it difficult to enter. Ning Cheng, Yan Ji, Wu Lin and Chu Manhe had just arrived at the entrance of the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond's defensive array when someone stopped them. Ning Cheng took out a jade card and put it in the guard's hand before saying, please go inside and report that Ning Cheng from the Grand Essence Dao Court has come to see you. Ning Cheng didn't say who he wanted to see. But since a Dao Court's Dao Lord came to see him, then Dai Fu should at least come out to meet him. What? You said Ning Qing dares to come to my 9 revolutions sacred Dao pond? Shi Tianhe stood up in disbelief. At this moment, at least a few dozen people sat in the 9 revolutions sacred Dao pond's main hall. Apparently, the 9 revolutions sacred Dao pond was also in the middle of a meeting. Everyone in the hall understood the meaning of Shi Tianhe's words. That is, the 9 revolutions sacred Dao pond had just expressed their dissatisfaction with Ning Qing as a Dao lord. Yet, in the blink of an eye, Ning Qing came to visit the 9 revolutions sacred Dao pond. Did Ning Qing really think that he was a Dao lord worshipped by everyone in the Grand Essence realm? Did Ning Qing really think that the 9 revolutions sacred Dao pond wouldn't dare to touch him? One had to know that if Ning Qing came to the 9 revolutions sacred Dao pond, his fate would no longer be in Ning Qing's hands. Even if the 9 revolutions sacred Dao pond didn't kill Ning Qing, as long as they controlled him, all his previous arrangements would turn into bubbles. Dai Fu, who sat in the seat of honor, asked in a deep voice, how many people did they bring? The reporting disciple quickly replied, a total of 4 people. Apart from Ning Qing, there are 2 women and 1 man. One of the women used to be a disciple of my 9 revolutions sacred Dao pond. Her name is Yan Ji. That Dai Fu sneered, he really thinks he's a Dao lord. Yishuang, this person is very lecherous. Go greet him and find out his thoughts. Yes. Shi Yishuang quickly stood up. She understood the meaning of the sect master's words. That is, she wanted to use her capital to test Ning Qing and see what Ning Qing's purpose was. Chu Manhe saw Shi Yishuang coming over to greet him and said with a slight smile, Junior apprentice brother Ning, you don't seem to have much prestige as a Dao lord. They just sent a Dao sculpting cultivator to greet you. Well, she does have a bit of a beauty. Most likely, they thought that they caught your hobby. Ning Qing didn't care about Chu Manhe's joke. He had seen Shi Yishuang a few times, and she was also a woman with eyes on her forehead. No matter how beautiful this woman was, she was just a passing thing for him. He only came here for one purpose, and that was to ask if Shi Qianghua was in the 9 revolutions sacred Dao pond. Big brother Ning, please come with me. Shi Yishuang walked up to Ning Qing with a smile and even squeezed Yan Ji back a few steps. Ning Qing stopped and said with a slightly cold tone, Fairy Yishuang, please lead the way. You don't have to squeeze with me. Chapter 1156. I didn't know that Dao Lord Ning had come from afar, so I didn't greet you. It's really rude of me. Dao Lord Ning, please take a seat. Dai Fu saw Ning Qing and the others come in, so she quickly got off her seat and cupped her fists. How hypocritical. Chu Manhe said calmly, if you want to welcome them, you can go out yourself. Don't send a pretty woman. Dai Fu's expression immediately turned awkward. She had only said it casually, who would take it seriously? She felt that Chu Manhe was not simple, and there was something about her that she could not see through. She hurriedly asked, this is? I'm Ning Qing's friend, you don't have to worry about me. With that, Chu Manhe went directly to Ning Qing's side and sat down first. Dai Fu gave a cold snort in her heart. She had long heard that Ning Qing liked beautiful girls, but this Chu Manhe's appearance was only a so-so. Compared to Yishuang, she was even worse. She did not expect that Ning Qing would also not have any taboos, it seemed that she really overestimated him. Yu Yun, serve tea to these guests. Dai Fu no longer paid any attention to Chu Manhe and spoke to a young girl beside her. Ning Qing's gaze suddenly fell on the girl named Yu Yun. She was an extremely beautiful girl, and looked even colder than Shi Yishuang. It was just that Shi Yishuang's coldness was a little artificial. This girl's coldness came from her bones. Her crescent moon-shaped eyebrows matched with her flawless oval face gave her an aura of elegance. Ning Qing immediately felt a surge of disgust in his heart. This woman called Yu Yun must be Shi Yu Yun, the one that Shui Yueka had mentioned about her younger sister Shui Yueshin. Shui Yueka was a young girl herself, and her younger sister, Shui Yueshin, was probably even younger. Using the life of such a young girl, to increase his own aptitude for cultivation, if Ning Cheng thought highly of her, then it would really be a strange thing. Thinking about Yan Ji, who almost had her spirit transferred to the 9 Revolutions sacred Dao Pond, Ning Cheng felt even more disgusted. If not for Cheonghua's matter, he would never have wanted to step into this filthy sect. Seeing Ning Cheng's gaze fall on her, Shui Yuan's eyes also flashed with a trace of disgust. She had naturally heard about Ning Cheng's despicable hobbies in the 9 Revolutions sacred Dao Pond. But since the sect master had spoken, she still came forward and served the divine tea to Ning Cheng and the others. Dai Fu, on seeing Ning Cheng's gaze fall on Shui Yuan, showed a faint sneer at the corner of her mouth, and asked in a calm tone, "I wonder why Dao Lord Ning came all the way to my 9 revolving sacred Dao Pond." Ning Cheng picked up the cup of spiritual tea in front of him and took a sip, as he deliberately frowned, indicating that this tea was very ordinary, and then said, "That court pillar must also be aware of my little hobby. I once saw a woman from your noble sect, and have always had some feelings for her in my heart, so this time I came to propose a marriage." When Dai Fu heard this, she almost spat out the mouthful of spirit tea she had just drunk. "You, Ning Cheng, are also a Dao Lord. Can't you at least have some face? Even if you wanted to propose marriage, you couldn't have just sent a single person. If you came here yourself, the entire Taisu Palace would lose face because of you." Not only Dai Fu, but everyone else in the hall also had looks of disdain in their eyes. Shi Tianhe, who sat next to Dai Fu, suddenly spoke up, "It's naturally a good thing to have a marriage alliance with Dao Lord Ning. I wonder which one of my 9 revolving sacred Dao Pond's disciples did Dao Lord Ning fancy." Ning Cheng put down the teacup and said with a cautious tone, "I saw the woman in the Grand Essence mystic realm, but I don't know her name." At that time, Fairy Yi Shuang was also there, and she even stopped me. "Oh, at that time, I appeared as Ji He. I don't think Fairy Yi Shuang has forgotten about it." Shi Tianhe showed a regretful expression and said, "Alas, it's really unfortunate. If I could have a marriage alliance with Dao Lord Ning, it would have been a blessing for my 9 revolving sacred Dao Pond. Unfortunately, that disciple has already gone to the Grand Change Realm on behalf of my 9 revolving sacred Dao Pond to continue cultivating because of her excellent qualifications." Dai Fu, who sat in the seat of honor, also nodded and spoke up in the same tone, "My 9 revolutions sacred Dao Pond has many disciples. Dao Lord Ning, why don't you take a look at the other disciples? Maybe Dao Lord Ning would find someone better." Ning Cheng didn't seem to understand the other party's sarcasm about him liking beautiful women. He still asked in a deep voice, "What's the name of the disciple who went to the Grand Change Realm? Who did she go with?" Although Ning Cheng's question sounded a bit aggressive, Shi Tianhe still replied in a warm tone, "Her name is Shi Cheonghua. She went with her younger sister Shi Qianxia, along with another disciple." Ning Cheng's heart shook violently. Sure enough, it was Cheonghua. He didn't have any mood to stay here any longer. He stood up and said, "Many thanks for the warm hospitality, sect master. I'm going back to the Dao court." Before Dai Fu could speak, another Daoist priestess next to her chuckled and said, "Since Dao Lord Ning is here, why are you in such a hurry to leave? My 9 revolving sacred Dao Pond is about to hold a bejeweled nectar grand gathering. I originally wanted to invite Dao Lord Ning, but Dao Lord Ning happened to be here. It's just right." Ning Cheng stood up and said, "No need. The Dao court has too many things to take care of. I'll visit again next time." Seeing that Ning Cheng still wanted to leave, Dai Fu said with a calm voice, "Dao Lord Ning, I reported to my 9 revolving sacred Dao Pond's Dao ancestor about opening the Grand Essence domain. My 9 revolving sacred Dao Pond's Dao ancestor said that it's not impossible to open the Grand Essence domain, but there are still some details that need to be discussed. Since Dao Lord Ning is here, then you don't have to leave in such a hurry. Let's discuss it first. Ning Qing stopped and said with a cold tone, "Does sect master want to force me to stay?" Dai Fu's tone also turned cold. "I don't dare to force you to stay. But if Dao Lord Ning really doesn't want to cooperate, then I can only ask Dao Lord Ning to stay. Only after Dao Lord Ning agrees would I dare to let Dao Lord Ning leave." Ning Qing raised his hand, and a tearing law force blasted out. The powerful Dao charm laws slammed into the entrapment array on the opposite side and easily tore a huge hole in the entrapment array. "If I want to leave, your 9 revolving sacred Dao pond can't stop me." After saying that, Ning Qing took another step forward. "I know that Dao Lord Ning has a high level of attainment in the Dao of arrays. A mere entrapment array naturally can't stop Dao Lord Ning. But if Dao Lord Ning insists on going his own way, then don't blame my 9 revolving sacred Dao pond for using force." As Dai Fu's words fell, the Dao charm aura around her spread out in waves. The law force instantly suppressed the surrounding space. Ning Qing and the others felt as if they were trapped in a cage under the suppression. Ning Qing and Chu Manhe didn't move. Yan Ji didn't have the ability to move. Only Wu Lin raised his hand and drew out a blue shadow. The blue shadow looked very evil and had a trace of sharp saber flare Dao charm as it tore through the space. A vast and sharp nomological saber flare slashed at the solidified space. The space tore apart like a soap bubble. The nomological space suppressed by Dai Fu's Dao charm instantly lit up. There was no longer any barrier between it and the outside world. Dai Fu subconsciously took a step back as she felt the impact of the powerful nomological power and divine essence. She looked at Wu Lin in shock. She knew that Wu Lin was at the late-stage primordial chaos realm, but she had also just entered the late-stage primordial chaos realm. Given her strength, it was rare for her to meet an opponent in the same realm. Apart from Wang Huazhong, who could firmly suppress her, there were not many primordial chaos sacred emperors who could suppress her. Today, she saw that the primordial chaos sacred emperor next to Ning Qing not only suppressed her, but also forcefully suppressed her. Dai Fu didn't make a move. With just one move, she knew that she wasn't Wu Lin's opponent. She stared at Wu Lin and asked in a deep voice, "Who are you?" There were only a few famous primordial chaos powerhouses in the Grand Essence realm. Who hadn't Dai Fu seen before? Wu Lin smiled disdainfully. "You're just a pseudo-primordial chaos from a boundary with incomplete laws. Do you think you're qualified to ask who I am? I heard that your 9 revolutions sacred Dao pond has a pseudo-Dao integration cultivator. Call her out and fight with me. You've got some guts. A primordial chaos dares to come to my 9 revolutions sacred Dao pond and act so arrogantly." As his voice fell, a huge handprint blasted down. Before this huge handprint could fully spread, Wu Lin's raging blue saber flare started to crack. In the blink of an eye, the saber flare's Dao charm, which had split Wu Lin's nomological power apart, disappeared without a trace. The entire space became suppressed once again. This time, it was a huge handprint that kept pressing down. Wu Lin's face turned a little ugly. He was a top-notch expert, a primordial chaos sacred emperor who hadn't broken his laws yet. Being suppressed so easily by a handprint made him lose a lot of face. With a wave of his hand, the evil shadow heavenly saber appeared in front of him. Without waiting for him to use the heavenly saber spirit technique, Chu Manhe made her move. Chu Manhe didn't take out any magic treasures either. Instead, she just raised her hand and grabbed at the void. The huge handprint that was pressing down instantly weakened. With a cry of surprise, everyone felt their surroundings become empty. The world instantly cleared up, and everyone in the hall looked up in a daze. At this moment, not to mention the trapping array, even the roof of the hall had disappeared. In other words, Chu Manhe's effortless grab not only cracked all the restrictions and defensive arrays in the hall, but the Dao charm power of Shuriqing's handprint also made the roof of the hall disappear. If that was all, it wouldn't be too shocking. The most shocking thing was that the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond sect protecting Grand Array was directly torn apart by this grab. At this moment, the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond became a heavenly path. Anyone could come in and leave. This wasn't something that could be done with just a high cultivation level. Even a Tao integration Sacred Emperor had to be proficient in the array Tao to a certain degree to create such an effect. A mere ant-like array and a mere pseudo-Tao integration want to keep this old lady here. Old Lady Chu Manha's words didn't match her youthful face. No one found it funny. Instead, everyone in the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond felt a chill down their spine. With this kind of strength, if she wanted to destroy the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond, even a Tao ancestor wouldn't be able to stop her. Shi Qing, who stood not far away, looked at the defensive array that Chu Manha grabbed. Chills ran down her spine. She was a Tao integration expert. Because of her, the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond was one of the top sects in the Grand Essence realm. But now, she, a Tao integration expert, was like an ant in the eyes of others. Chapter 1157. Ning Cheng's gaze swept over the broken sect protecting Grand Array, then swept over the sluggish Shi Qing before finally landing on Dai Fu. Sect Master, do you really think that I can't destroy your 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond? Daphne shuddered at the words. Even when the Tao ancestor of the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond took action, the woman who called herself Old Mother, next to the other party easily tore it apart. She even managed to break the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond sect protecting Grand Array. Since Ning Cheng could break through the defensive array so easily, it would simply be a joke for the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond to keep him here. With such a powerful helper, coupled with Ning Cheng's identity, destroying the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond wouldn't be an empty threat. Tao Lord Ning. Dai Fu called out dryly. Even after Ning Cheng took complete control of the Taisu Tao court, Dai Fu was not this afraid of Ning Cheng. This time, she was truly afraid. She suddenly felt some regret, and even hated herself. How could she forget what Ning Cheng had done in the past? He had just advanced to the primordial Tao realm and dared to kill Man Suatian. He had even led the newly formed Taisu Tao court army to destroy the invading Tai Tao court army. How could such a person come to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond without any precautions? She was really out of her mind. Ning Cheng ignored Dai Fu, and spoke to Chu Manha and the others at his side. Senior apprentice Sister Manha, let's go. Seeing that Ning Cheng was about to leave through the broken defensive array, Dai Fu could no longer remain silent. She quickly called out, Tao Lord Ning, my 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond is willing to give up 3 major mineral veins and 2 major spiritual medicine mountains. At the same time, we are willing to withdraw from the 3rd Tao court's control. The Tao ancestor remained silent after attacking. He did not even say anything when the other party tore apart the sect's guardian. Dai Fu knew that she could no longer rely on the Tao ancestor, who she relied on for her 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond. Ning Cheng chuckled, it's useless for you to tell me these things. You can bring them up yourself during the assembly in the throne room. The 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond was a traitor, and he absolutely couldn't let them control the Tao court army. Now that Daphne had brought it up herself, it was for the best. If Dai Fu didn't want to bring it up, Ning Cheng didn't mind destroying the 9 revolving Sacred Tao Pond. As for sects that wanted to attack Tao monarchs, even if Ning Cheng destroyed them publicly, he wouldn't feel the slightest bit wrong. Tao Lord Ning, my disciple Shi Yueyun is quite pretty. If Tao Lord Ning is willing, you can bring her along to help out a little. Hearing Ning Cheng mention this matter in the throne room, Dai Fu breathed a sigh of relief. At the very least, Ning Cheng wouldn't destroy the 9 revolving Sacred Tao Pond. Therefore, she hurriedly proposed to Shi Yueyun to serve Ning Cheng. After Ning Cheng heard these words, he really stopped. Dai Fu was overjoyed in her heart. she had always caught hold of Ning Cheng's hobby. Shi Yueyun was indeed one of the best disciples of the Nine Revolutions' sacred Tao Pond. However, for the future of the sect, Shi Yueyun could also be sacrificed. Besides, if Shi Yueyun followed Ning Cheng, she would not lose anything, in fact she would even gain more. Headmaster, I do have a little hobby, but I'm not that desperate to the point where I can't even pick what I eat. After saying this sentence, Ning Cheng was too lazy to stay for even a moment, as he quickly turned around and left. Shi Yueyun, who was standing not far from Dai Fu, suddenly turned pale when she heard this. She had always been confident in her appearance. Even Shuri Shuang was inferior to her. She didn't expect Ning Cheng to insult her like this, ridiculing her with the words desperate. A month later, the Grand Essence Tao Court held another Tao Court assembly. Among them, the sect master of the Nine Revolving Sacred Tao Pond, Dai Fu, voluntarily handed over the Tao Court army and resigned from her position. In addition, the Nine Revolving Sacred Tao Pond also gave up 3 major mineral veins and 2 spiritual medicine mountains. When Daphne made the request, everyone was stunned. The Nine Revolving Sacred Tao Pond had a Tao Perfection powerhouse. One could say that even Wang Huazhong's status might not be as stable as Dai Fu. Because of this, Fei Feng was taken down for resisting the Tao Lord token, while Dai Fu still lived a good life. Only now did everyone understand that it wasn't that Dai Fu wasn't taken down, but that the time wasn't right. Now that the time was right, she took the initiative to resign. The Grand Essence Tao Court agreed to the Nine Revolving Sacred Tao Pond's request to give up 3 major mineral veins and 2 spiritual medicine mountains. They also agreed to the Nine Revolving Sacred Tao Pond's Tao Court army. The third Tao Court army was directly handed over to Xiao Mozi. Although the Grand Essence Tao Court didn't completely agree with Dai Fu's words, they at least retained the position of the Nine Revolving Sacred Tao Pond's third pillar, which gave the Nine Revolving Sacred Tao Pond some face. After this incident, no one dared to question Ning Cheng's status as a Tao Lord. Of the 2 pillars who questioned him, one was imprisoned, while the other was stripped of almost everything. He even had to compensate for the mineral veins and spiritual medicine mountains. Ning Cheng's status as a Tao Lord in the Grand Essence realm had already stabilized. Grand Essence Seabed. Ning Cheng couldn't restore the teleportation array that he had tried so hard in the past. But this time, it only took less than half an incense stick worth of time to completely restore it. This teleportation array was a teleportation array that connected the Grand Essence realm to the 4 major starry skies. From here to the 4 major starry skies, it was many times easier than the node guarded by Butterfly Mountain. Coming to this place again, Ning Cheng not only repaired the teleportation array but also rearranged the concealment and defensive arrays around the teleportation array. Before he had the ability to tear through the void between the Grand Essence realm and the 4 major starry skies, he had to pass through this place. Not only that, but Ning Cheng also planned to completely seal the node guarded by Butterfly Mountain after returning to the 4 major starry skies. Although the spirit chi in the 4 major starry skies was thin, he couldn't let people from the Grand Essence realm casually come to the 4 major starry skies. In any case, the 4 major starry skies were one of his old homes. After rearranging the defensive and concealment arrays, Ning Cheng activated the teleportation array. Even with Ning Cheng's middle stage Tao essence cultivation, he felt his spiritual consciousness going out of control under such a long-distance teleportation array. Unlike the first teleportation, Ning Cheng didn't faint this time. From the moment the teleportation array activated to the moment his feet touched the ground, he could clearly feel the entire process. The powerful and rapid transformation of space and time caused Ning Cheng to feel shocked in his heart. In the past, he thought that he could barely touch a thing or two about this teleportation array. As long as his cultivation reached a certain level, he would at least have a superficial understanding of it. But now, he understood that he still couldn't arrange this teleportation array. Not only did he need to understand and control the laws of space to a certain degree, but he also needed to control the laws of time to a certain degree. Ning Cheng had just landed on the teleportation array when he noticed something wrong. This teleportation array was covered with defensive entrapment arrays, and several starry sky cultivators were studying the array formations. This wasn't right at all. This place was under Night Essence Star's Orchid Bane Star's Thorn Tooth Lake. Sealed by his defensive array, only someone with a stronger Tao of array formations could find it and open it. Otherwise, someone could forcibly attack this place and blast it open. With his status in the 4 major starry skies, if he sealed this place completely, who would have the guts to blast it open? What's more, after he killed 9 Jewel Starry Sky's Starry Sky Emperor, Luo Xija took the initiative to join him as the new Starry Sky Heavenly Emperor and guard Thorn Tooth Lake for him. With his understanding of Luo Xija would never disobey his orders and blast this place open. Ning Cheng's expression turned a little ugly. But he didn't go out immediately. Instead, he raised his hand and shot out several array flags to seal the teleportation array. Without his array flag token, no one could use this teleportation array. The several array formation masters, who were studying the entrapment arrays outside, suddenly felt the teleportation array they were studying disappear, and only a vague fog appeared in front of them. The few people looked up at the same time in confusion. But before they could figure out what was going on, a young man walked out of the fog. "Who are you? How did you come out of the teleportation array?" No, did you come from the other end of the teleportation array?" One of the array formation masters stared at Ning Cheng and spoke. Ning Cheng raised his hand, rolled up the 4 array formation masters studying array formations, and threw them out. He then started to arrange the concealed entrapment array again. After completely concealing the teleportation array, Ning Cheng came out, stared at the few people and asked in a cold voice, "Who let you in? Who are you? How dare you treat us like this, you?" One of the array formation masters hadn't even figured out what was going on when Ning Cheng slapped him in the face, sending him flying and crashing into the stone wall. "I'm the one asking you questions now. If you talk any more nonsense, you don't have to continue. Now, among the 4 of you, the one who can explain it clearly can leave this place alive." Ning Cheng spoke in a cold tone. This time, without waiting for Ning Cheng to ask again, the other 3 rushed to explain. Ning Cheng pointed to a slightly chubby man in the heaven-seated realm and said, "You. After you finish speaking, I'll ask the others. If there's anything wrong, you can forget about living." After saying that, Ning Cheng raised his hand and slapped a few times. The others didn't resist at all and directly fainted under Ning Cheng's slap. Chapter 1158. The slightly plump array master hurriedly bowed and said, "Senior, please feel free to ask. Junior Jiang Songxin will tell you everything he knows." Ning Cheng nodded. "As far as I know, Orchid Restraining Star's Thorn Tooth Lake belongs to Night Essence Celestial River. Moreover, the Night Essence Celestial River was located under 9 Jewel Starry Sky. 9 Jewel Starry Sky Heavenly Emperor Luo Xija had issued a ban on the Night Essence Celestial River. Why would anyone dare to attack Thorn Tooth Lake?" Jiang Songxin quickly bowed again on hearing those words, replying to Senior, "The Starry Sky Heavenly Emperor of 9 Jewel Starry Sky has already changed owners. Currently, there were 2 Starry Sky Great Emperors, one was Shushan Great Emperor and the other was Sky Bamboo Great Emperor. Back then, it was the Sky Bamboo Great Emperor who wanted to make a move on Thorn Tooth Lake. Senior Luo Xija resolutely refused, which led to the war. In the end, after the battle, Senior Luo Xija escaped with heavy injuries and disappeared. The Sky Bamboo Heavenly Emperor not only occupied the Thorn Tooth Lake but also ruled the entire 9 Jewel Starry Sky. Later, Heavenly Emperor Shushan came here and joined forces with Heavenly Bamboo Heavenly Emperor. They became husband and wife and jointly ruled 9 Jewel Starry Sky. Jiang Songxin seemed to know that Ning Cheng's tone towards Luo Xija was quite good, so when he addressed Luo Xija, he also respectfully addressed him as senior. Ning Cheng snorted, don't mention Heavenly Emperor Shushan and Heavenly Bamboo Heavenly Emperor in front of me. Just tell me the names of these two people. Jiang Songxin hurriedly straightened his body and bowed again. Senior, it's not that this junior doesn't want to tell you. This junior is just an errand boy sent by the two heavenly emperors to study the teleportation array. I don't even know the real names of these two great emperors. Please forgive me, senior. Asking the four of you to study this transmission array. Ning Cheng frowned slightly. Jiang Songxin carefully explained, it's not the four of us. It's just that the four of us have a month of research time. When the time is up, it will be replaced by the other four. All the array masters were called here for only one purpose, and that is to thoroughly study this transmission array and then activate it. Ning Cheng asked again, where are Heavenly Emperor Shushan and Sky Bamboo Heavenly Emperor? Also, Thorn-Tooth Lake was forcibly occupied, and Luo Xizha was seriously injured and left. Did no one come to help? The reason why he asked this question was that both Ning Ruolan and Ji Luofei from Stately River Star knew that Thorn-Tooth Lake was the place where he sealed it. Moreover, the two of them knew that Luo Xizha was his subordinate. If Luo Xizha was attacked, they would definitely send someone to help. Jiang Songxin replied with even more apprehension, I don't know where the two heavenly emperors went, but when the Thorn-Tooth Lake was occupied, someone did come to help. It was someone from Stately River Star. Without waiting for Jiang Songxin to finish, Ning Cheng's hand grabbed Jiang Songxin's neck and lifted him up. You said that people from Jiangzhou Star came to help. What happened next? Jiang Songxin, a heaven-seated powerhouse, felt like an ordinary person being held by the neck by Ning Cheng. His face turned red, and he couldn't even speak half a word. It wasn't until Ning Cheng raised his hand and threw him to the ground that he reluctantly spoke up, although the people from Stately River Star are strong, that Heavenly Emperor Shushan also sent someone to help. Jiangzhou Star suffered heavy casualties and retreated back to named Descendant Celestial River. Later, Sky Bamboo Heavenly Emperor became very angry and took the initiative to attack named Descendant Celestial River's Jiangzhou Star. It's just that Jiangzhou Star had a very powerful starry sky heavenly emperor called Ning Ruoqing. She alone defeated the attacks of many heavenly emperors and saved Stately River Star. After that, there were many battles, but those people couldn't do anything to that heavenly emperor Ruoqing. Ning Cheng's eyes flashed with killing intent. Fortunately, there was Ning Ruoqing. Without Ning Ruoqing, he couldn't even imagine what would have happened to Stately River Star. Does this Sky Bamboo Great Emperor like killing? Ning Cheng's tone carried a hint of coldness. Jiang Songxin quickly replied, I don't know about that. I only know that she hates Stately River Star very much. Every time, she would say that she wanted to turn Stately River Star into dust. But every time, Heavenly Emperor Ruoqing would stop her. Heavenly Emperor Ruoqing's strength is just too strong. You said that many people from Stately River Star died in the battle to help Thorn-Tooth Lake. Ning Cheng's tone turned flat. Jiang Songxin didn't dare to hide it. Yes, a lot of people died. Only a few powerhouses managed to escape back to Stately River Star. Later, Heavenly Emperor Shushan and Sky Bamboo Heavenly Emperor besieged Stately River Star and killed many innocent cultivators from Stately River Star. Jiang Songxin understood that Ning Cheng was on Stately River Star's side, which meant that he was on Stately River Star's side. Then tell me, did you Array Formation Masters also participate in the battle to besiege Stately River Star? Ning Cheng's tone turned even calmer. His spiritual consciousness had already swept outside Thorn-Tooth Lake. Nearly thousands of cultivators stood guard outside Thorn-Tooth Lake. Apparently, they wanted to protect Thorn-Tooth Lake. Jiang Songxin wasn't a fool. When he heard Ning Cheng's words, he immediately understood that Ning Cheng wanted revenge. Therefore, he quickly spoke up with a trembling voice, yes, but I never participated in the battle to besiege Stately River Star. But the three of them did. After saying that, Jiang Songxin pointed to the three people lying on the ground. Ning Cheng waved his hand, and a wave of spiritual consciousness blasted into Jiang Songxin's sea of consciousness. He immediately understood that Jiang Songxin was telling the truth. Ning Cheng raised his hand and threw out 3 fireballs, which directly turned the other 3 array formation masters into nothingness. He then grabbed Jiang Songxin and rushed out of the teleportation array channel under Thorn-Tooth Lake. Sensing the pressure of the laws, Ning Cheng's heart skipped a beat. Although the channel under Thorn-Tooth Lake looked ordinary, it could actually resist the suppression of the laws of heaven and earth. Ning Cheng hadn't felt the slightest bit of pressure from the laws of heaven and earth. But now, as soon as he came out, he felt the terrifying suppression of the laws of heaven and earth. Under the operation of the mysterious yellow formless cultivation method, the suppression of heaven and earth instantly assimilated with his cultivation method. Even if there was still the suppressive power of the laws, he still sent it into the mysterious yellow bead. At this moment, he truly stood within the starry sky of a low-level interface, and his middle-stage Tao essence cultivation didn't change at all. The thousands of cultivators guarding outside Thorn-Tooth Lake saw Ning Cheng appear with Jiang Songxin in his hand and immediately surrounded him. Ning Cheng didn't even bother to pay attention to the thousands of cultivators surrounding him. He raised his hand and tore through the void before throwing Jiang Songxin into it. Whether you lived or died depended on whether you had the ability or not. Ning Cheng had learned this move from Pan Qian. At this time, he understood that Pan Qian at least had the strength of a Tao essence cultivator. Otherwise, he wouldn't have torn through the void here so easily. Before the thousands of cultivators could reach Ning Cheng raised his hand and shot out several time wheels. A mist of blood swept past, and the Thorn-Tooth Lake, where thousands of cultivators had stood a moment ago, now turned flat. Not a single person could be seen anymore. After an incense stick worth of time, Ning Cheng left Thorn-Tooth Lake and once again set up an array formation to protect this place. Even if experts from the Grand Essence realm came here, they wouldn't be able to open Thorn-Tooth Lake and find the location of the teleportation array. From Thorn-Tooth Lake to Stately River Star, Ning Cheng didn't have much time. As soon as Ning Cheng arrived outside Stately River Star, he breathed in a sigh of relief. Although the defensive array outside Stately River Star had been repaired a lot, it didn't suffer any major damage. From this, one could tell that Stately River Star was quite stable. Ning Cheng had arranged Stately River Star's defensive array. Therefore, he didn't use any means and stepped into Stately River Star's defensive array in one step. A sharp shadow shot towards Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng raised his hand and grabbed a few blade lights formed from celestial essence. He then looked at Ning Ruoqing with a smile and said, "Ruoqing, your strength has risen again. If not for the laws here being too weak, I'm afraid you could crush all the starry sky heavenly emperors here with just a finger. Big brother, you're back." Ning Ruoqing exclaimed and rushed over with a face full of joy. Before Ning Cheng could speak again, more people rushed out. Ning Cheng saw Rulan, Luo Zian, Li Lingfan, Song Caihe. Seeing so many familiar faces, Ning Cheng felt a trace of warmth and tranquility in his heart. Patting Ning Ruoqing in his arms, he said, "Ruoqing, you still like wearing red clothes. You didn't disappoint me." Ning Cheng truly felt grateful to Ning Ruoqing. Ning Ruoqing's thoughts weren't very clear. Ning Cheng knew that Stately River Star could survive until now because of Ning Ruoqing. Even if he didn't come back, as long as Ning Ruoqing was here, Stately River Star wouldn't have any problems. "Big brother." Ning Rulan called out with red eyes. She couldn't even move a single step. She was the most worried about her big brother Ning Cheng. Now that Ning Cheng came back, she finally felt relieved. Ning Cheng was just about to speak when he saw Ji Luofei in a light yellow robe rushing over. She rushed to Ning Rulan's side and stopped in her tracks. Her eyes then looked at Ning Cheng with endless longing and longing. Ning Cheng could even feel that her body was trembling slightly. That kind of excitement and surging emotions could no longer be contained for even half a moment. The people who wanted to come and greet them subconsciously stopped and made way for Ning Cheng and Ji Luofei. Ning Cheng's heart turned sour. He took a step forward and hugged Ji Luofei and Ning Rulan in his arms. At this moment, he felt an unprecedented sense of satisfaction and serenity. Chapter 1159. You should go and greet the others first. Zhu Zhu is dealing with Jiangzhou Star. If it weren't for Senior Tsang and the others, Jiangzhou Star wouldn't have survived. Ji Luofei took the initiative to speak up. Ning Cheng understood Ji Luofei's meaning and greeted the people from the mysterious yellow sect one by one. After exchanging greetings with everyone, Ning Cheng suddenly thought of something and asked Ji Luofei, "Luofei, did you say that Zhu Zhu is going to deal with Stately River Star? Which Zhu Zhu is it?" Ning Rulan spoke up with hatred on the side, "It's that bitch, Zhu Zhu. Big brother saved her back then, but not only did she not repay the kindness, but she even let go of your Jiangzhou Star. Zhu Zhu." Ning Cheng's face sank. He did not think that this woman would be so excessive. From the looks of it, he should have killed this person back in the rootless Black City. The first time she came with Yin Shushan, Sister Qing was still in seclusion. If it weren't for Senior Yi Jin and Senior Chang Manin stopping her, I'm afraid that Sister Qing would have already broken through the Stately River Star's defensive array. Ning Rulan truly hated Zhu Zhu to the bone. Listening to Sister Luofei, when her big brother saved her, she was almost tortured to death. Ruoqing didn't go to Night Essence Celestial River. Ning Cheng's killing intent surged in his heart. Ning Rulan shook her head, "No. When we heard that Senior Luo was besieged in Night Essence Celestial River's Thorn-Tooth Lake, Senior Tsang quickly brought people to help. It's just that we were a little late and Senior Luo escaped with serious injuries. The people on our side not only failed to protect Thorn-Tooth Lake, but also let Yin Shushan and Zhu Zhu kill many people. They even chased them all the way to Jiangzhou Star. It was also because of Zhu Zhu's parents that we were able to escape safely." Ning Cheng nodded. Both Yi Jin and Chang Manin were forthright people and knew how to repay kindness. He didn't expect that a mixed feather chicken would appear in the phoenix nest. If Zhu Zhu really wanted to keep her chastity for the man he had killed, and then take revenge, although Ning Cheng would not have shown any mercy, he would not have looked down on her like this. This woman had changed to another man, yet she still shamelessly sought revenge on her benefactor. It was really unforgivable. That Yin Shushan's name sounds a bit familiar to me. Is he from the Butterfly Mountain? Ning Cheng asked again. He already knew that there was a Yin Shushan from the Butterfly Mountain who was very arrogant. If Butterfly Mountain's 7th elder Duan Wanbai hadn't come to apologize, he would have killed Yin Shushan. Ning Rulan nodded, "That's him. Butterfly Mountain supports that Zhu Zhu a lot." Not only did they send people to support Zhu Zhu in taking control of 9 Jewels Starry Sky, but they also arranged for Zhu Zhu and Yin Shushan to become husband and wife. What a pair of dogs! Ning Cheng thought to himself. He hadn't even gone to Butterfly Mountain to seal the node leading to the void, yet the people from Butterfly Mountain took the initiative to come here. "Sect Master, let's go back to the sect." Tsang Tsaiha spoke from the side. He was the deputy sect master of Mysterious Yellow Sect. When Ning Cheng wasn't in Stately River Star, he had the final say in Stately River Star and Mysterious Yellow Sect. Ning Cheng smiled, "Wait a minute, they are coming again. There are even a few old acquaintances. Let's go out and take a look." Seeing Ning Cheng take the lead and walk out of Stately River Star, everyone quickly followed. In fact, this wasn't the first time for people from 9 Jewels Starry Sky to come to Stately River Star. Therefore, no one had anything to fear. They had Stately River Star's star protecting Grand Array, as well as powerhouses like Ning Ruoqing and Tsang Tsaiha. Even if Ning Cheng wasn't here, it would be impossible for them to break through Stately River Star. Several huge void battleships landed outside stately River Star, with Yin Shushan and Yi Zhuzhu, whom Ning Qing knew, standing at the forefront of the battleship. Yin Shushan still had the delicate facial features and skin of a woman. But in contrast, Yi Zhuzhu, who stood next to him, paled in comparison. Yi Zhuzhu looked a little more voluptuous than before, and her skin had also turned a little darker. Her eyes also had a hint of coldness that made people feel a little cold. Yi Zhuzhu's qualifications truly were heaven-defying. Yan Ji, who followed her and cultivated in the Grand Essence realm, had only reached the Tao sculpting realm. Yet, Yi Zhuzhu had already reached the late-stage Eternal realm. This kind of progress was simply unimaginable. Ji Luofei's cultivation back then was much higher than Yi Zhuzhu's. But now, Ji Luofei had only just stepped into the life and death realm. Ji Luofei had high qualifications and enough resources to reach this level. From this, one could see how powerful Yi Zhuzhu was. Yi Zhuzhu's gaze immediately fell on Ning Qing, and a trace of hatred flashed across the corner of her eyes. She then spoke up with an icy tone, "Ning Qing, why don't you continue to hide? You used to show me some kindness, and also relied on your higher cultivation to kill my Tao companion in front of me. You even drove me out of my cave and humiliated me in front of countless people. I want to ask you, have you ever thought about this day?" Ning Qing shook his head speechlessly. The rootless Black City was clearly his territory. He had saved Yi Zhuzhu and brought her back to cultivate. In just a blink of an eye, the rootless Black City had turned into her, Yi Zhuzhu's cave. What the hell was going on? He had seen many unreasonable people, but he had never seen Yi Zhuzhu so shameless and unreasonable. With Yi Zhuzhu's late-stage eternal cultivation, she still had a long way to go to check Ning Qing's strength. Ning Qing didn't bother to pay attention to this woman. When this woman started, he would turn everyone in the future into powder. Then, he would take a trip to Butterfly Mountain and erase it completely. He had killed the cultivators guarding the Thorn-Tooth Lake, sealed the Thorn-Tooth Lake, and then came here in just a short time. Ning Qing estimated that this woman, Yi Zhuzhu, hadn't received the news yet. Seeing Ning Qing not speaking, Yi Zhuzhu sneered, "Today, I brought 10 eternal powerhouses and many experts in the Tao of Array. Ning Qing, you will see with your own eyes how I erase your Jiangzhou star from the starry sky. That woman is your Tao companion, right? I will let you know the hatred of your Tao companion being killed in front of you." Ning Qing's killing intent surged. Ji Luofei had raised Yi Zhuzhu in the past, yet this woman still treated Ji Luofei so viciously. This woman's life was a waste of the starry sky's resources. Just when Ning Qing wanted to raise his hand and pinch Yi Zhuzhu to death, an airship suddenly rushed over. Ning Qing had already seen the people inside the airship, and he subconsciously stopped. Before the airship could reach them, a woman flew out of the airship and screamed, "Zhuzhu, you can't do anything to Jiangzhou Star. If you dare to do anything to Jiangzhou Star, your father and I will die here. You are ungrateful. You should know that if it weren't for Ning Qing, you would have already died. If it weren't for Ning Qing, your father and I would have already died. You can't do this." Behind this woman was a middle-aged man. Ning Qing vaguely recognized this person as Yi Zhuzhu's father, Yi Jin. But at this time, Yi Jin's face was filled with vicissitudes of life. His life wasn't as good as before, and his cultivation hovered around the celestial gatherer realm. His cultivation couldn't even compare to his wife, Chang Manin. Chang Manin's cultivation had already reached the celestial bridge realm. Neither Yi Jin nor Chang Manin saw Ning Qing. They just wanted to stop Yi Zhuzhu. Yi Jin didn't even want to speak. He felt that he had a clear conscience for his entire life, yet he ended up raising such a daughter. Yi Zhuzhu's eyes flashed with a complicated look. She still cared about her parents. If it weren't for her parents repeatedly stopping her, she might have already destroyed Jiangzhou Star. At least now, Ning Qing could see with his own eyes how she, Yi Zhuzhu, avenged Brother Hang. Mother, when Ning Cheng killed Brother Heng, you also saw it from the side. I begged him, but did he show even a little bit of softness? He ignored my wails and sorrow, and still let Brother Heng struggle to his death. Today, I want him to see with his own eyes how I let his Dao companion die in front of him. Shut up. Chang Manin's face turned pale. Yi Zhu, if you still have a little conscience, you shouldn't have said that. That man deceived you and took advantage of your ignorance to cultivate in the rootless Black City. Moreover, he even plotted against Ning Cheng's wife, Ji Luofei, and tricked Sister Luofei into the Bridge of Storms. If Ning Cheng hadn't come back in time, Sister Luofei would have died because of him. Yet, you still want to speak up for him? If Ning Cheng hadn't killed him, would you still be here today? If Ning Cheng hadn't saved our family wouldn't be here today. Yi Zhu didn't continue to answer Chang Manin's words. She stepped out of the airship and landed in the void. She then stared at Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng, today I will let you see that I, Yi Zhu, hold a grudge. Ning Cheng sneered, you, Yi Zhu, hold a grudge and forget kindness. Even if you don't say it, I already know. When Chang Manin and Yi Jin saw Ning Cheng, their faces turned even paler. If committing suicide could save them some face, maybe the two of them would have chosen to commit suicide. Brother Ning, I'm sorry, I. Yi Jin, a big man, couldn't even say a word. In front of his powerful daughter, Yi Zhu, he and his wife looked so small. Ning Cheng waved his hand and said, it's none of your business. By the way, Yan Ji wants to thank you. While speaking, Yan Ji had already come out of the mysterious yellow bead. As soon as she came out, the laws of heaven and earth suppressed her cultivation to the half-step Dao sculpting realm. Yan Ji didn't care about it. She quickly walked up to Yi Jin and his wife and bowed, many thanks to Big Brother and Big Sister for helping me in the past. Otherwise, Yan Ji would have already turned into bones. Yi Jin and his wife felt so ashamed that they couldn't even speak. How could their kindness to Yan Ji compare to Ning Cheng's kindness to their family? Ha! Yin Xiushan, who stood behind Yi Zhu, suddenly exclaimed when he saw Yan Ji, and his eyes lit up. Zhu, I also like this woman. Yin Xiushan sent a sound transmission to Yi Zhu. However, his sound transmission fell into Ning Cheng's ears without missing a single detail. Ning Cheng sneered in his heart. Yi Zhu didn't even bother to send a sound transmission. If you like her, she's yours. Wait for that Ji Luofei, Ning Rulan, and this Yan Ji. I don't mind it at all, as long as you still have me. Yin Xiushan's eyes narrowed. Zhu, you are the one I love the most. Even if there are more women, I will only play with them. Only you are the one I love the most in my heart. Even if it takes countless years of my life, I can't let you suffer any grievances. Whatever you say, I will do it. Okay, go catch that Ning Cheng, break his hands and feet, and then arrange an entrapment formation. Let him slowly burn to death in the entrapment formation. Yi Zhu said with a blank expression. So what if Ning Cheng was in the eternal realm? She, Yi Zhu, was almost invincible in the same realm. What's more, this time, there weren't just 1 or 2 eternal powerhouses, but 10. Jiangzhou Star only had Ning Cheng and Ning Ruoqing. As for that pill Emperor Tsang Saiha, she didn't put him in her eyes at all. Chapter 1160. Yin Xiushan knew about Ning Cheng's strength. Even if he was already at the full circle eternal realm, he didn't dare to be careless. With a wave of his hand, 6 late-stage eternal powerhouses stepped forward at the same time. Xiushan, trap him and burn him with fire. Seeing Yin Xiushan take action, Yi Zhu also brought out a weapon. Her eyes flashed with a hint of madness and joy. She had thought of this scene countless times, and today, she finally did it. She also knew about Ning Cheng's strength. Therefore, she took action to prevent anyone from stopping Yin Xiushan from attacking Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng shook his head and motioned for Ning Ruoqing and the others not to come up. He didn't even move. Instead, he raised his hand and threw out a few Dao patterns. The 6 eternal powerhouses who rushed up were instantly torn into nothingness by the 6 Dao patterns. Only a few rings fell into Zhang Caihe's hands. Yin Shushan's footsteps paused, and his pupils instantly widened. Born in Butterfly Mountain, he had seen too many powerhouses and geniuses. But he had never seen anyone as strong as Ning Cheng. With just a few Dao patterns, Ning Cheng easily killed 6 late-stage eternal powerhouses. You're from Butterfly Mountain. Didn't Duan Yi and Duan Wenbai tell you not to mess with my stately river star? Ning Cheng looked at the dumbfounded Yin Shushan and spoke with a flat tone. After saying that, he raised his hand and threw out a few more Law Dao patterns. Several huge void airships parked in the distance exploded under the power of these Dao patterns. Countless rings flew out, as if someone had delivered them to Zhang Caihe's hands. Not a single ring was left out. As for the people on those huge void airships, none of them survived. Senior. Yin Shushan called out with a dry voice, his voice filled with despair and trembling. Ning Cheng's strength was beyond his imagination. Even if Butterfly Mountain's old ancestor came here, Ning Cheng would have killed him in an instant. He had heard about Ning Cheng's methods. He suddenly hated Yi Zhuzhu for not using sound transmission to talk to him. Instead, she directly asked him to take away Ning Cheng's woman. If Yi Zhuzhu hadn't said that, he might have begged for mercy. Ning Cheng ignored Yin Shushan and grabbed Yin Shushan from the void. Then, a fireball started burning around Yin Shushan's body. Yin Shushan struggled like a trapped beast. No matter how he struggled, he could not move an inch. Ignoring the struggling Yin Shushan, Ning Cheng looked up at Yi Zhuzhu and spoke, I accidentally used the same method to kill your lover a moment ago. To be honest, what you asked a moment ago was really correct. I really did not think that such a day would come. I will kill you and your lover in the same way, Originally, you could have found more lovers for me to kill, but unfortunately, you won't have the chance. Yi Zhuzhu's face turned pale as she looked at Ning Cheng. She knew that Ning Cheng was strong, but in her opinion, even if Ning Cheng was strong, he would only be on the same level as her. But today, she and Yin Shushan had brought 10 eternal Starry Sky Emperors. But now, several Starry Sky Emperors didn't even have a chance to attack before Ning Cheng turned them into ashes. He had used the same method to kill the same people as her. She was not as sad about Yin Shushan's death as Brother Hang's. However, Yin Shushan was also a man who gave her joy, and was also killed by Ning Cheng. At this moment, Yi Zhuzhu's reaction was completely different from the last time. The first time her brother Hang died, she only had one word in her heart, hatred. Hatred. She wanted to kill Ning Cheng and humiliate him in front of Ning Cheng. But this time, apart from fear, she felt nothing but fear. It was as if no matter when she saw Ning Cheng was an invincible existence, and she could only wait for her death. Yin Shushan's wailing had already disappeared, and Ning Cheng slowly raised his hand. Yi Zhuzhu's body trembled, and endless oppression descended. She knew that she didn't even have the qualifications to resist. The difference between her and Ning Cheng's cultivation could only be described as heaven and earth. Yi Jin and Chang Manin suddenly knelt down in front of Ning Cheng. The two could only shed tears and couldn't say a word. Ning Cheng understood what they meant and shook his head, I'm sorry, I can't spare her this time. She touched my bottom line, and I will kill anyone who dares to do so. Ning Cheng, even if I die, I won't let you go. You killed my Dao companion and drove me away, I can't wait to swallow your flesh and blood. Yi Zhuzhu suddenly screamed frantically, her face twisting into a hideous expression. Poof! An arrow of blood flew out, and Yi Zhuzhu's voice stopped abruptly. The weapon in Chang Manin's hand had directly pierced through Yi Zhuzhu's body. Even Yi Zhuzu's essence spirit was forcibly torn apart by Chang Manin. Ning Qing didn't speak, nor did he move. He could have stopped Chang Manin when she started, but he only restrained Yi Zhuzu and didn't stop her. Yi Zhuzu's madness deserved to die. Chang Manin killed her daughter, but in Ning Cheng's view, it was because she wanted to save her daughter. Chang Manin, covered in blood, knelt down next to Yi Zhuzu's corpse. Ning Cheng clearly saw Chang Manin put away a trace of Yi Zhuzu's spiritual soul, but he didn't speak. He didn't guess wrong. Chang Manin had used her own hands to save a trace of her daughter's spiritual soul. Although he knew that this trace of spiritual soul couldn't help Yi Zhuzu survive. As Yi Zhuzu's parents, Ning Cheng understood Chang Manin and Yi Jin's love for Yi Zhuzu. He could easily destroy Yi Zhuzu's spiritual soul, but he couldn't face a mother's love for her daughter. For Chang Manin, no matter how bad Yi Zhuzu was, she was still her daughter, her flesh and blood. She raised her with one hand. When Yi Jin saw his wife kill his daughter, Yi Zhuzu, his hair instantly turned snow white. This kind of human tragedy happened to him. Yan Ji rubbed her eyes and couldn't help but speak up, Xiaocheng, they. Ning Cheng also knew that Yan Ji had also seen Chang Manin leave a trace of her daughter's spiritual soul. She remembered Chang Manin's help and couldn't bear to let Ning Cheng destroy that trace of spiritual soul. With Chang Manin and Yi Jin's abilities, even if they managed to save Yi Zhuzu would no longer have such heaven-defying qualifications. Maybe it would be better for the Yi Jin couple. Ning Cheng sighed, elder sister Chang, you should leave with brother Yi. There are many ungrateful people, but she's not one of them. You can be ungrateful, but don't bite the hand that feeds you. Since Yi Zhuzu could cultivate so quickly, she must have some kind of treasure on her. However, Ning Cheng didn't plan to search for it. Even if Yi Zhuzu had some kind of treasure, it would have fallen into her parents' hands. Both Chang Manin and Yi Jin, who looked pale, knew that they couldn't hide their little tricks from Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng didn't destroy that trace of spiritual soul, giving their daughter a chance to reincarnate. After the two of them bowed to Ning Cheng, they picked up Yi Zhuzu's corpse and quickly retreated, disappearing into the vast void. Everyone remained silent. Yi Zhuzu, who had always wanted to destroy Jiangzhou Star and turn it into dust, died. However, no one felt the joy of revenge in their hearts. Everyone felt their hearts clench at the love Chang Manin and her husband had for their daughter. No matter how bad she was still their daughter. Jiangzhou Star celebrated. The threat from Nine Jewels' starry sky had been removed, and more importantly, mysterious yellow sect master Ning Cheng had returned. Compared to the enthusiasm of Jiangzhou Star, Butterfly Mountain seemed a bit dull. Among the four grand starry skies, if there was a place that went beyond the four grand starry skies, then it would definitely be Butterfly Mountain. In the past, even the four grand starry skies' starry sky heavenly emperors wouldn't be rude to Butterfly Mountain. No matter where Butterfly Mountain's people went, they would always be treated with courtesy. Butterfly Mountain's old ancestor and the 7 grand elders gathered in the assembly hall. If Ning Cheng came here, he would at least know Duan Wenbai. Duan Wenbai was the one who saved Yin Shushan and Duan Qian. Old ancestor, Yi Zhuzu is just. Among the 7 grand elders of Butterfly Mountain, only Duan Wenbai was familiar with Ning Cheng. But because of his familiarity with Ning Cheng, he had always been wary of Ning Cheng. The old man sitting at the head waved his hand to stop Duan Wenbai's words. Wenbai, do you know who has the fastest cultivation speed in the history of the 4 grand starry skies? Naturally, it's Qisong Heavenly Emperor. Duan Wenbai opened his mouth and spoke. But he only spoke half a sentence before stopping. Old ancestor, you mean, Yi Zhuzu has the fastest cultivation speed? The old man nodded, yes, Yi Zhuzu has the fastest cultivation speed. How many years did it take for her to advance from the domain realm to the late-stage eternal realm? You can say that since I started cultivating, I've never seen anyone with a faster cultivation speed than her. She's just a rogue cultivator with no cultivation resources, no support from a sect, and not even an alchemy master. How could she cultivate so fast? Everyone quickly understood, and the old man spoke up in a low voice, that Yi Zhu only has an eternal cultivation, and her strength shouldn't be much weaker than me. If we forced her, I'm afraid it would bring trouble to Butterfly Mountain. Shushan has done a good job this time. It's a pleasant surprise to find Yi Zhu's favor. Duan Wenbai still felt a bit of a knot in his heart and couldn't help but speak up, old ancestor, that Ning Cheng is also a tricky character. Back then, the ninth prince was so powerful, but he was still killed by him. There's also traceless immortal pawns Wu Yuankong, who can come and go as he pleases in the devil race. If we openly help Yi Zhu, who has a grudge against Ning Cheng, to deal with Ning Cheng's stately river star and night essence celestial river, I'm afraid we'll end up becoming enemies with Ning Cheng in the future. An elder standing across from Duan Wenbai snorted, no matter how strong Ning Cheng is, he's just one person. My Butterfly Mountain isn't the starry sky heavenly emperor of the 4 grand starry skies. Even Chuan Xinlo has to behave himself and show respect when he comes to my Butterfly Mountain. What's more, the Night Essence Celestial River's teleportation array most likely leads to the Grand Essence Realm. If one day, we can really break through that teleportation array. The elder didn't continue, but everyone understood what he meant. The old man sitting at the head also nodded, Sun is right. No matter how strong Ning Cheng is, he's just one person. But I don't know where that Ning Ruoqing came from. I've seen her battle videos and found them quite strange. The old man had just spoken when a red light flew in. A man sitting next to the old man raised his hand and grabbed the red light. Then, with a look of disbelief, he spoke up, someone killed all the people we left in Thorn-Tooth Lake and sealed it. The man's words had just ended when another voice arrived, reporting to Elder Taoist Sun, my Butterfly Mountain's new elder, Yin Shushan's soul card suddenly shattered. What? This time, almost everyone suddenly stood up. After Yin Shushan followed Yi Zhu, his strength had improved by leaps and bounds. Below the 7 grand elders, he could even be considered the strongest expert. Coupled with Yin Shushan coming out of Butterfly Mountain, who would dare to do anything to him? Chapter 1161. Duan Wenbai spoke up with an ugly expression, because Stately River Star has a woman called Ning Ruoqing. She's extremely powerful, and Yi Zhu's 9-jewel starry sky couldn't do anything to Stately River Star. This time, Shushan took away 10 eternal starry sky emperors from Butterfly Mountain with the purpose of helping Yi Zhu take revenge. Duan Yi, who sat in the seat of honor, also sat down. His face regained its calmness and he spoke up in a low voice, in other words, Shushan was killed in Stately River Star. Duan Wenbai nodded and spoke up with some worry, if I'm not wrong, Shushan was killed in Stately River Star. With Stately River Star's strength, it might be able to stop Shushan and others. But to kill Shushan, I'm afraid only. Duan Wenbai didn't finish. Instead, a long-haired man next to him added, Wenbai, do you mean that Ning Cheng is back? Duan Yi suddenly stood up again, gather all the people from my Butterfly Mountain and head to the node immediately. Leave this place if you can. Ancestor, why is this so? A middle-aged woman asked in confusion. Butterfly Mountain's ancestor and 7 grand elders were present, as well as many eternal starry sky emperors. No matter how strong Ning Cheng was, he couldn't do anything to Butterfly Mountain. Duan Yi spoke up with a gloomy expression, since Ning Cheng dared to kill Shushan, it means that he doesn't fear my Butterfly Mountain. If I'm not wrong, he most likely went to the Grand Essence Realm and even came back. The Grand Essence Realm is much higher than this place. Even if Ning Cheng's strength is at the bottom of the Grand Essence Realm, our Butterfly Mountain can't do anything to him. Just think about that 9th prince from back then. Ninth Prince's strength is something that even I can't say I could beat. As long as there's life, there's still revenge. I'm afraid you can't go. I just sealed the node leading to the void from the 4 grand starry skies. Ordinary people can't open it. As the voice fell, a young figure appeared in Butterfly Mountain's meeting hall. Ning Cheng. Duan Wenbai was the first to call out. He knew Ning Cheng too well. Ning Cheng hadn't changed much from when he first saw him. Duan Yi immediately smiled as he cupped his fists and said, I did not expect Sect Master Ning to visit my Butterfly Mountain. Please forgive me for not going out to welcome you. Duan Yi had changed very quickly and the 2 Grand Supreme Elders next to him did not have as much patience as him. The moment they saw Ning Cheng, they immediately understood that Ning Cheng was not a scary person. At least from Ning Cheng, they did not feel any threat, nor did they feel any kind of strength. These 2 Grand Elders were Butterfly Mountain's half-step Dao sculpting experts. After seeing Ning Cheng with their own eyes, why would they care about him? The 2 of them acted at the same time, almost as if they had agreed on it. Duan Yi was right next to them. Naturally, he had sensed their movements immediately. His eyebrows twitched slightly, and he forcefully suppressed the thought of stopping them. He was even prepared to help them at any time. Ning Cheng slowly raised his hand and flicked out 2 time wheels with his finger. These 2 time wheels moved slowly, without even the slightest sharp aura. Yet, they shot towards the 2 Grand Elders. Duan Yi's expression changed. He knew that it was over. These 2 time wheels were so slow that even his spiritual consciousness couldn't keep up. Puff, puff. 4 spurts of blood sprayed out. It wasn't the 2 Grand Elders who fell, but 4 of them. The 4 Grand Elders standing on both sides of Duan Yi immediately fell to the ground. Their essence, spirits and life force completely disappeared the moment the 4 of them fell to the ground. Duan Yi and the remaining 3 people stared at the 4 Grand Elders who fell in a blink of an eye, not knowing what to say. Of the 4 Grand Elders, 2 of them had just brought out their weapons. As for the other 2, Ning Cheng's time wheels had already killed the first 2. Therefore, they decided to take advantage of the situation and kill them. Sect Master Ning, why did you? Duan Yi's voice trembled in defeat. Ning Cheng showed a slight smile. When I wasn't at home, the people from Butterfly Mountain kept trying to destroy Jiangzhou Star. I killed the people from Butterfly Mountain, and when I came here to ask why, I found that someone wanted to kill me as soon as I came in. Tell me, why did I do this? While speaking, Ning Cheng raised his hand again, and Sun Yi, who stood next to Duan Yi, died. Duan Yi knew that he couldn't escape today. Butterfly Mountain had provoked Ning Cheng, but Ning Cheng's strength was far beyond what Butterfly Mountain could contend with. Seeing Ning Cheng's murderous intent, he quickly spoke up, Sect Master Ning, my Butterfly Mountain has a treasure. Ning Cheng spoke up in a calm voice, do you want to talk about the treasure that Duan Gantai stole from your Butterfly Mountain? Unfortunately, Duan Gantai isn't here. Duan Yi suddenly became speechless. He no longer cared about the difference in strength between him and Ning Cheng. He raised his hands and shot out a dense ray of light. Once the strength gap reached a certain level, any resistance would be futile. A day later, Ning Cheng returned to Jiangzhou Star. At this time, the news of Ning Cheng destroying Butterfly Mountain spread throughout the starry sky. When Ning Cheng left, Jiangzhou Star's reputation had already reached the level of the 4 Grand Starry Skies. It was also because Butterfly Mountain dared to destroy Jiangzhou Star's defensive array. Apart from Butterfly Mountain, no one dared to attack Jiangzhou Star. But now, Butterfly Mountain, who dared to attack Jiangzhou Star, had turned into dust. Butterfly Mountain had dominated the 4 Grand Starry Skies for countless years, and every time it appeared, something big would happen. Yet, Ning Cheng destroyed such a place with just a raise of his hand. Who would dare to attack Jiangzhou Star? Only a blind person would dare to do so. Jiangzhou Star's mysterious yellow sect's main hall. Almost all the important figures of Jiangzhou Star gathered here. Even 9 Gamma Starry Sky Emperor Luo Xizha, who had been hunted down, had returned. Because Ning Cheng was about to leave Jiangzhou Star. The Grand Change Realm could send the Dao Court army to besiege the Grand Essence Realm at any time. If not for worrying about his sister and Luofei, Ning Cheng wouldn't have returned to Jiangzhou Star at this time. Now that Jiangzhou Star had stabilized, Ning Cheng naturally wanted to leave this place and return to the Grand Essence Realm. Jiangzhou Star had too many people, so Ning Cheng couldn't take them all away. Moreover, Ning Cheng's mysterious yellow bead wasn't something anyone could expose. In the end, Deputy Sect Master Tsang Tsaiha set down a rule that only Starry Sky Emperors with full circle eternal realm strength were eligible to go to the Grand Essence Realm. Even Tsang Tsaiha couldn't reach the full circle eternal realm. Naturally, no one objected to this condition. As for Ji Luofei, Ning Ruolin, and Ning Ruoqing, they were Ning Cheng's wife and sister. Therefore, it was only natural for them to go with Ning Cheng. In fact, there weren't many people who really wanted to leave Jiangzhou Star. No one knew what kind of place the Grand Essence Realm was. Moreover, they had stayed in Jiangzhou Star for a long time. This place had plenty of medicinal pills, and the Starry Sky Spirit Qi was extremely rich. Moreover, there was no bullying or humiliation in this place. Every business was fair and just. As long as you had the ability, you could get cultivation resources. One could say that among the 4 grand starry skies, how many places were more suitable for cultivation than Jiangzhou Star? Ning Cheng didn't feel that Tsang Tsaiha's words were wrong. It's just that his strength was still a little low. If his strength was a little higher, he could determine whether the Grand Essence Realm and the 4 grand starry skies were separated by a positional plane. In case one day, he repaired the Grand Essence Realm's heaven and earth laws, would the Starry Sky Emperors of the 4 grand starry skies have a chance to break through the void and ascend to the Grand Essence Realm? Feng Xian hadn't yet returned to the Boundless Realm Palace when he received another message from Ao Beijiang. Ao Beijiang asked him to go to the Grand Change Realm and said that the Grand Change Realm Lord was ready to take action. Out of the 5 Dao courts of the Grand Change Realm, 4 Dao courts would send out tens of millions of troops. If Ao Beijiang hadn't said that the Realm Lord Yin Xingwen would take action, and the 4 Dao courts of the Grand Change Realm would send out their troops, he really didn't want to go back. Even if Ning Cheng was only in the Dao Primordial Realm, he still felt a little afraid of Ning Cheng. Now that the Grand Change Realm sent out tens of millions of troops, more than 5 Dao Perfection powerhouses, and even the Realm Lord came forward, Feng Xian finally couldn't hold back his anger and returned to the Grand Change Realm. Ning Cheng was indeed strong, but no matter how strong he was, the Grand Essence Realm only had 2 Dao Perfection experts. No matter how strong he was, everyone would know about his hidden killing array. He didn't believe that he couldn't kill Ning Cheng with the help of the Grand Change Realm Lord. The first time Ao Beijiang encouraged the Luying Dao Court's army to invade the Grand Essence Realm, it was just a small rumor. But now, the Grand Change Realm's Realm Lord personally took action, and the 4 Dao courts sent out tens of millions of troops, including at least 5 Dao Perfection powerhouses and even more Primordial Chaos Holy Emperors, to besiege the Grand Essence Realm. This news had spread throughout the void, and even the rest of the 5 Grand Realms had received the news. The 5 Grand Realms were different from the 4 major starry skies. There were many experts here, and even if they were separated by planes, they couldn't stop the news from spreading. Before the 5 Realms pill competition, not many people knew who Ning Cheng was. After the 5 Realms pill competition, countless people knew about Ning Cheng. When Lu Dongzi from the Grand Beginning Realm heard the news, he wanted to help immediately. However, he quickly thought it through. The Grand Beginning Realm absolutely couldn't participate in this kind of thing. Even if it wanted to participate, it couldn't help the Grand Essence Realm. It could only help the Grand Change Realm. Otherwise, the Grand Essence Realm would become the next Grand Beginning Realm. Similarly, the Great Ultimate Realm thought the same. No one in the Great Ultimate Realm had a particularly good relationship with Ningcheng. At the same time, the Great Ultimate Realm didn't help the Grand Change Realm either. After all, the Great Ultimate Realm was facing a similar situation as the Grand Essence Realm. If they didn't help the Grand Essence Realm, they naturally couldn't help the Grand Change Realm either. Only the Great Beginning Realm's atmosphere was different. The entire Great Beginning Realm seemed extremely dignified. The Great Beginning Realm's atmosphere was different not because it learned that the Grand Change Realm had mobilized the Tao Court's army to deal with the Grand Essence Realm. In fact, the Great Beginning Realm didn't take this matter to heart. The Great Beginning Realm was so dignified because it knew that there was another realm with complete laws called the Sacred Tao World. The Sacred Tao World's Heaven-Earth law was complete and not any weaker than the Grand Change Realms. Originally, this wasn't a big deal. In the vast universe, the Grand Change Realm wasn't the only realm with complete laws. An additional Sacred Tao World wouldn't affect anything. The Great Beginning Realm's atmosphere was so dignified because after investigation, they found out that the Sacred Tao World was actually a piece of land that had split off from the Great Beginning Realm. It occupied almost half of the Great Beginning Realm's size. During the Creation War, only the Great Beginning Realm had been blasted apart. Logically speaking, if the Great Beginning Realm wanted to repair the Heaven-Earth law, it had to first fuse the broken plates of the Great Beginning Realm. As for the realm that had split off from the Great Beginning Realm, it was impossible to repair it. However, someone had the ability to repair the Sacred Tao World that had split from the Great Beginning Realm. Furthermore, it had become a complete, independent realm. A piece of land that had split off from the Great Beginning Realm had been successfully repaired and become a high-level land of law in another plane. How could the Great Beginning Realm accept this? Chapter 1162. Like the Great Simplicity Realm, the Great Beginning Realm only had one Tao Court. Apart from the Tao Court, there was no Realm Lord in the Great Beginning Realm. It was far from the Great Change Realm, which had 5 Tao Courts, several major sects, and even one Realm Lord. On the contrary, because of the Tao Court, the Great Beginning Realm was more stable than the other realms even though it was broken and its laws were incomplete. It even had a realm protection array. The Tao Lord of the Great Beginning Tao Court was Li Jianqing. He looked very young, not much older than Wuxia, the Great Change Realm's Elixir Association Master. His cultivation level was also at the half-step Tao Integration Realm. Many people felt that if the laws of the Great Beginning Realm were not complete, Li Jianqing would have already succeeded in Tao integration. Li Jianqing could become a Tao Lord of a realm not only because of his strength and ruthlessness, but also because he was extremely determined. Anything that others could not accomplish was not a problem for Li Jianqing. As long as Li Jianqing wanted to do it, he could do it. Although Li Jianqing was only at the half-step Tao Integration Realm, the 2 Tao Court Guardians of the Great Beginning Realm were at the Tao Integration Realm. One of them was the famous Tao integration expert in the Great Beginning Realm, Timothy, and the other was Li Jianqing's martial uncle, Shao Qiandong. Compared to Ningcheng, the Tao Lord of the Great Simplicity Realm, who had to use his own means to stabilize his position, Li Jianqing was the real number 1 person in the Great Beginning Realm. Li Jianqing was not only determined but also good at listening to other people's opinions. As long as he had not decided on something, anyone could make suggestions. At the moment, in the Great Beginning Realm, Li Jianqing frowned slightly. He had just heard the news that the Great Change Realm was going to use the Tao Court army against Great Simplicity. What really shocked him was the news about the Sacred Tao World. The Great Beginning Realm was the most divided. As a Tao Court, he naturally knew about it. He was shocked because the realm that had split from the Great Beginning Realm had been repaired by someone and had become a high-level realm of another plane. In the Tao Court, Li Jianqing did not speak. The others remained silent. No one dared to interrupt Li Jianqing's contemplation. Yuanhua, tell me everything you know. Li Jianqing finally broke the silence. Yes, Tao Lord. I have long heard of the sacred Tao world. When I was in heavens beyond, I only knew that the sacred Tao world was a top-notch realm that was not inferior to the Great Change realm. Back then, I thought about whether I should go to the sacred Tao world to gain insight into the Tao integration realm. And at this time, I heard something big. The person who spoke was a handsome middle-aged man called Chu Yuanhua who had a mid-stage primordial chaos cultivation level. That was not important. What was important was his position in the Taichu Dao court. Chu Yuanhua was not just a primordial chaos sacred emperor in the Taichu Dao court. He was also one of the 10 court pillars of the Taichu Dao court, ranking 5th. When Chu Yuanhua said that he had heard of a major event, everyone held their breath and listened attentively. Chu Yuanhua paused slightly and took a deep breath. The Grand Primordium Divine Inscription appeared in the sacred Tao world and someone learned it. Li Jianqing, who had been frowning, suddenly stood up and repeated solemnly, Yuanhua, you just said that the great primordial God pattern appeared in the sacred Tao world. The number one divine ability of the great beginning realm that has long been lost, the great beginning God pattern. Not only Li Jianqing, but everyone else was also staring at Chu Yuanhua. This news was simply too shocking. Ever since the creation war, the 5 major divine abilities of the 5 great realms had almost all been lost. This included the Tai formless divine light, the grand beginning divine light, the grand elemental divine thunder, and the Taiji Yin Yang. Now, there was suddenly news that the great primordial God pattern had appeared in a realm that had split off from the great beginning realm. Nobody could calm down. Chu Yuanhua said solemnly, I didn't hear wrong. It was indeed the great primordial God pattern. Only the people of the great beginning realm knew that the great primordial God pattern would only be passed down in the great beginning realm. Therefore, I was sure that the sacred Tao world was a part of the great beginning realm. Later, I asked some people who knew about the sacred Tao world in the beyond of heaven and earth, and the information I obtained basically matched my speculation. In that case, the sacred Tao world was only a part of the great beginning realm. Why was it restored? This is absolutely impossible, right? One of the court pillars asked doubtfully. Chu Yuanhua also said with a sigh, actually, I didn't understand at first. Later, I asked around and after my own speculation, I got a rough idea. The sacred Tao world wasn't completely a part of the great beginning realm. It was originally a high-level realm. After the great beginning realm went through the creation war, a part of it entered the void and collided with the sacred Tao world. Eventually, it actually fused. This part was called the God Necropolis domain in the Divine Necropolis domain. I heard that the great primordial God pattern was found in the God Necropolis domain. The God Necropolis domain was split off from the great beginning realm, so there were naturally large amounts of treasures inside. Plus, the sacred Tao world was already in chaos after being hit by the God Necropolis domain. These treasures became the cause of the war. Countless experts of the sacred Tao world started a war for the treasures. Eventually, the entire sacred Tao world was in chaos. Of course, this is just my guess. Li Jianqing asked heavily, in that case, who else has the ability to restore the sacred Tao world? Chu Yuanhua bowed and answered, Tao Lord, I'm also confused about this. Later, I heard some news that someone in the sacred Tao world got the Chaos Tree and used it to restore the realm. Chaos Tree? Li Jianqing asked in shock. He wasn't this shocked even when he first heard about the great beginning God rune. Not only Li Jianqing, the others also didn't believe it. Who would be stupid enough to take out the Chaos Tree to repair a world? Chu Yuanhua nodded. That's right, the news I got was indeed about the Chaos Tree. Do you know who used the Chaos Tree to restore the sacred Tao world? Also, have you been to the sacred Tao world? Li Jianqing asked. Chu Yuanhua said shamefully, I specially went to the sacred Tao world. Unfortunately, the sacred Tao world's realm-protecting array was many times more brilliant than the great beginning realms. I'm ashamed and couldn't enter the sacred Tao world. As for who restored the sacred Tao world, I only heard that this person's magic artifact was just a purple long saber. Very few people could make him use his saber. I think that since this person is an expert who restored the sacred Tao world, he must live in the sacred Tao world. He might be a Tao lord of the sacred Tao world. Li Jianqing took a deep breath and said word by word, the sacred Tao world is a part of the great beginning realm. There shouldn't be any problem. Court pillars, tell me how the great beginning realm should deal with this matter. After saying that, Li Jianqing sent out 2 light figures. This is no small matter. I've invited the 2 great courts of the great beginning realm to discuss it. A blue-eyed, golden-haired, beautiful woman with a voluptuous and slender figure stood up, bowed, and said, Tao Lord, No Allah has something to say. Li Jianqing said warmly, Court pillar No Allah, you can say what you want to say. This beautiful woman was called No Allah. Although she was a woman and looked extremely beautiful, she was the first court pillar of the great beginning Tao court. After bowing again, No Allah said, if the laws of the sacred Tao world are still broken, the great beginning realm can use a supreme divine power to slowly move the sacred Tao world to the edge of the great beginning realm and then merge with it. Now that the sacred Tao world has been restored by the chaos tree, the laws must be complete. It would be extremely difficult to move it. I have 2 suggestions. The first is to extract the chaotic life force from the sacred Tao world and move it. No Allah's words made the Tao court fall silent. This suggestion was vicious. Extracting the chaotic life force of the sacred Tao world was equivalent to extracting the chaos tree that had merged with the sacred Tao world. The primal chaos life force that was extracted was a top-grade treasure to any expert. However, this way, the sacred Tao world would be completely destroyed. Although this suggestion was vicious, the eyes of the people in the Tao court lit up. Whether it was vicious or not had no effect on the great beginning realm, but it would affect the sacred Tao world. On the contrary, as long as the chaotic life force of the sacred Tao world was extracted, the great beginning realm would benefit greatly. Anyone here would benefit immensely. Li Jianqing nodded. Tell me about the second suggestion. No Allah continued, the second suggestion is to kill the person who restored the sacred Tao world or make him submit to the great beginning Tao court. At the same time, the sacred Tao world will be a boundary of the great beginning realm. Anyone in the great beginning realm can go to the sacred Tao world to comprehend the Tao runes and advance to a higher level. Although No Allah had only said to kill the person who restored the sacred Tao world, the people in the Tao court understood what he meant. He wanted to control the sacred Tao world and kill anyone who resisted. As for the rest of the people in the sacred Tao world, they naturally served the cultivators of the great beginning realm. No Allah's suggestion made Li Jianqing's eyes light up. Extracting the chaotic life force of the sacred Tao world was good, but this was equivalent to killing the goose that laid the golden eggs. If he used the Tao rune comprehension of the perfect law of the sacred Tao world, even a Tao lord like him could probably succeed in Tao integration. If this went on, one day, the great beginning realm would not be weaker than the great change realm. Li Jianqing nodded and said subconsciously, in that case, we need to build a teleportation array between the great beginning realm and the sacred Tao world. However, there are too few array masters who can build such a teleportation array. Tao Lord, the great change realm is about to engulf the great simplicity realm. Once the great change realm engulfs the great change realm, even if the great beginning realm obtains the sacred Tao world, I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to catch up to the great change realm, another person said. Li Jianqing sighed and waved his hand. There is no way to stop the great change realm from engulfing the great simplicity realm. The only thing we can do is to increase our strength as much as possible. No Allah's second suggestion is very good. It is easy to make the sacred Tao world surrender, but how do we set up a teleportation array from the sacred Tao world to the great beginning realm? This is a teleportation array that is separated by several planes. Nuala smiled slightly and stood up again. Tao Lord, actually, there is a top-notch array master in the 5 great realms. Who? Li Jianqing asked subconsciously. Nuala said calmly, it's Ning Cheng in the Great Simplicity realm. I heard that Ao Beijiang and Feng Xian joined forces with millions of soldiers from the Luying Dao court to besiege the Great Simplicity realm. However, they were killed by Ning Cheng's confinement-killing array. Moreover, I also heard that the Great Simplicity realm's Boundary Protection Grand Array is not weaker than the Great Change realm's Boundary Protection Grand Array. Once such a peak array Dao expert joins the Great Beginning realm, it is not impossible for him to set up a planar teleportation array. Chapter 1163. Li Jianqing's eyes lit up. As the number 1 pillar of the Taichu Dao court, Nuala truly lived up to her name. She definitely made the most contributions to the Taichu Taoist court. Without Nuala, his position in the Taichu Taoist court would not have been as stable as it was now. Inform the Elixir Association's guild master, Pengong, to come over. We will immediately discuss the matter of dispatching the Dao court's army to help the Great Change realm. Oh right, also inform Pil Saint Fengshe Hao and Pil Saint Qin Zishu. Li Jianqing immediately made a decision. He was not worried about conquering the divine Dao world at all. There were 5 Dao integration divine emperors in the Great Beginning realm. It would be strange if they could not conquer the divine Dao world, whose laws had been perfected not long ago. Now, he was worried about how to set up a teleportation array in the sacred Dao world to the Great Beginning realm. This was not something that could be done just by thinking about it. It required a top-notch array Dao expert. Sending troops to help the Great Change realm was to take Ning Cheng away. If he knew that the Grand Change realm had sent out their army to take away Ning Cheng, he probably wouldn't have thought so. Dao Lord, we can't underestimate the sacred Dao world. Since he can repair the sacred Dao world, he should be a Dao integration sacred emperor. A brown-faced old man stood up. He understood what Li Jianqing meant. He did not take the sacred Dao world seriously and focused on preparing for what would happen after he seized the sacred Dao world. This old man was called Yan Jinghuan. He was at the late-stage primordial chaos realm and was the 2nd court pillar of the Taichu Dao court. He was also the steadiest person in the entire Taichu Dao court. He would always make up for mistakes in many decisions. Li Jianqing smiled faintly. I would be surprised if he wasn't a Dao integration cultivator. It would mean that I overestimated him. But Jing Huan, if I give you the chaos tree, can you repair my Great Beginning realm? Yan Jinghuan hesitated slightly and said, Dao Lord, if I had the chaos tree, I might not be able to completely repair the Great Beginning realm, but I would definitely be able to make it 10 times more perfect than it is now. Li Jianqing nodded. That's right. That person can repair the Great Beginning realm not because he's powerful, but because he has the chaos tree. Yuan Hua had never been to the sacred Dao world and did not know if it had been completely restored. If it wasn't completely restored, I believe there would be fewer experts in the sacred Dao world. As for Dao integration, how many Dao integration cultivators were there in the Great Change realm, let alone the sacred Dao world that was once broken and restored not long ago? No matter how strong the sacred Dao world is, can it be stronger than the Great Change realm? At this point, Li Jianqing's expression changed. If he completely repaired the sacred Dao world, it meant that not only did he obtain the chaotic tree, but he also obtained other treasures. Therefore, the Great Beginning realm must seize the sacred Dao world as our own. Otherwise, if the Great Change realm finds out, it will be dangerous. The Great Beginning realm can gather at least 5 Dao integration stage holy emperors. No matter how powerful that person is, he's only one person. As for the protective array, no matter how strong it was, it would still be broken. If you don't believe me, just take a look at the Grand Essence realm's defensive array. Yin Xingwen personally took action, and this defensive array is probably the shortest-lived defensive array. When Yan Jinghuan heard this, he also felt that he was overthinking. Apart from the Great Change Realm, the Great Beginning Realm was probably the strongest of the 5 great realms. In any case, the Sacred Tao Realm could not be stronger than the Great Change Realm. The other court masters obviously had the same thoughts as Li Jianqing. They did not think that the Sacred Tao world was stronger than the Great Beginning Realm. The Tao Lord is right. No matter how strong the barrier is, it will still be broken. Only when one's strength is strong will it be the real capital. A deep voice was heard as several people landed in the hall of the Tao court. Li Jianqing hurriedly stood up. Jianqing greets the 2 guardians. Welcome, Guild Master Pengong, Alchemy Saint Feng, and Alchemy Saint Qin. The 2 guardians of the Great Beginning Realm, Timothy and Xiao Qiandong, had come. They were also the strongest experts protecting the Great Beginning Tao Court. The one who had spoken just now was Xiao Qiandong, one of the 2 guardians. After they sat down, Li Jianqing asked, Guild Master Peng, Alchemy Saint Feng, and Alchemy Saint Qin. In the 5-realm elixir competition, you guys had the most contact with Ning Qing. What kind of person is Ning Qing? How did he cause such a big commotion? Pengong pondered for a moment before saying cautiously, this person's talent can be said to be rare throughout the ages. At least, I have never seen an alchemy master as talented as Ning Qing. Upon hearing Peng Ang's words, everyone's expressions changed slightly. Even the 2 Tao integration experts who had just come in focused and listened carefully. Who was Pengong? He was the number 1 alchemy saint of the Great Beginning Realm and a primordial chaos alchemy saint. In terms of status alone, Peng Ang's reputation among the cultivators of the Great Beginning Realm was not necessarily inferior to Tao Lord Li Jianqing's. How could Peng Ang's knowledge and experience be simple if he could become a primordial chaos alchemy saint and the One Realm Elixir Association master? He had never seen such a person praising Ning Qing's talent before, which showed how talented Ning Qing was. Li Jianqing's expression turned solemn as he said cautiously, please enlighten me, Guild Master Peng. Pengong nodded and said, back in the 5-realm Void City, Ning Qing had an alchemy competition with Lu Dongzi. Many people knew that Lu Dongzi had lost. In fact, Ning Qing's true strength was not that he had defeated Lu Dongzi, but that he could deduce the characteristics of a complex divine spirit herb that he had never seen before in the shortest time. In contrast, his ability to deduce new elixir formulas was secondary. Pengong had initially thought that Ning Qing had known those divine spirit herbs and had deliberately made up a name to mock Lu Dongzi. Later on, he had deduced that Ning Qing had not known those divine spirit herbs at all. The reason Ning Qing had been able to refine those 5 divine spirit herbs into elixirs was that he had used the limited time to deduce the main functions of those divine spirit herbs. He had been able to deduce the functions of 5 extremely rare or even extinct divine spirit herbs in such a short time and fuse them into a new elixir formula. Pengong had indeed never seen such talent before. In fact, if Ning Qing had not gone missing, he would have also tried to befriend Ning Qing like Lu Dongzi. Feng Shihao was a thin man with a pale face, but his cultivation level was not weak. He was also a primordial chaos sacred emperor. After Pengong finished speaking, he also said solemnly, if possible, I suggest that we do not become enemies with Ning Qing. Guild Master Peng is right. Not only is this person unparalleled in talent, but he is also very scheming. I heard that he was already a primordial Tao sacred emperor when he destroyed the Luoying Tao Court's Tao Court army. He was able to become a Tao Lord of the Grand Essence Tao Court when he advanced to the Tao Essence realm. He was also able to defeat Lu Dongzi in an alchemy battle and befriend Lu Dongzi. This kind of person is not simple. The words of Pengong and the pale man made the Tao court much quieter. After pondering for a moment, Li Jianqing still said, with Ning Qing's talent, it does not seem surprising that he became a top-notch God Array master. How about this, let's go to the Grand Change Realm first and find out what's going on. If possible, I, the Grand Beginning Realm, am willing to take out something in exchange for Ning Cheng's life. Everyone understood what Li Jianqing meant. This was equivalent to the Grand Beginning Realm coming forward to protect Ning Cheng when the Grand Change Realm destroyed Grand Essence. If Ning Cheng was really saved, then Ning Cheng would not forget the Grand Beginning Realm's life-saving grace. Few people usually came to the Realm Lord peak of the Grand Change Realm, but during this period, there were many people coming and going. The Realm Lord, who could not usually be seen, often came and went in the various Dao courts during this period. The 4 Dao courts sending out their armies at the same time sounded easy, but it was not easy to do. Even if the Grand Mystery Dao Court only sent out 1,000,000 Dao Court soldiers, it was still a huge coordination process. Everyone had their own interests in mind when they sent out their armies, and no one was willing to be at the forefront. Just as Yin Xingwen was struggling, the Grand Beginning Realm's Dao integration powerhouse Xiao Qiandong and the first court pillar Nuala came to visit. Yin Xingwen immediately received Xiao Qiandong. Nuala was one thing, but Xiao Qiandong was a Dao integration powerhouse from the Grand Beginning Realm. This kind of person definitely did not come from hundreds of millions of miles away to visit him, the Realm Lord. After some greetings, Yin Xingwen was shocked and Nuala said that she would send out the Grand Beginning Realm's army to help the Grand Change Realm teach the Grand Essence Realm a lesson. Yin Xingwen had never thought of asking the Grand Beginning Realm, the Grand Beginning Realm, and the Grand Ultimate Realm for help. First, there was no need. Second, he knew that the 3 Grand Realms would not help. Thank you, Dao Lord Jianqing, for remembering me, Yin Xingwen, at this time. However, there is no need for me to send out the army. The Grand Change Realm is just a trifling Grand Essence Realm. Of course, if Daoist Xiao doesn't mind, you can come with me to the Grand Essence Realm. If there is anything you like, you don't have to be polite, Yin Xingwen said euphemistically. The Grand Beginning Realm didn't need to send out the army. As long as Xiao Qiandong helped, it would be enough. Nuala had already guessed that Yin Xingwen would answer like this. Yin Xingwen wanted the Grand Change Realm's Dao Court to send out the army, which would affect his prestige as the Realm Lord. As for the other realms, he really didn't need help. What's more, if Xiao Qiandong could help, it would be more powerful than 1,000,000 Dao Court soldiers. When Xiao Qiandong heard this, he immediately said, in that case, I will follow the Realm Lord to the Grand Essence Realm to see what's so strange about it. I don't want anything else from the Grand Essence Realm, but Ning Cheng has some connections with my Grand Beginning Realm's Pill Saint Fengshe Hao. After the Grand Change Realm's army breaks through the Grand Essence defensive array, I just need to take Ning Cheng away. Take Ning Cheng away? Yin Xingwen looked at Xiao Qiandong helplessly. If I let you take Ning Cheng away, how can I attack the Grand Essence Realm? I attacked the Grand Essence Realm to capture Ning Cheng and ask him about the World Mountain. Of course, I also want to know about Ning Cheng's other secrets. How can I let your Grand Beginning Realm take Ning Cheng away? Nuala looked at Yin Xingwen's expression and immediately knew that something was wrong. Sure enough, Yin Xingwen followed up. The reason why my Grand Change Realm wants to attack Grand Essence is not because of Grand Essence. It's because Ning Cheng is too hateful. This person deliberately opened the seal of the Grand Change Realm's underground abyss and killed millions of my Grand Change Luying Dao Court's army. It can be said that this time, my Grand Change Realm's army came out because of Ning Cheng. Since Yin Xingwen said so, Xiao Qiandong and Nuala understood that their plan to arrange a teleportation array with Ning Cheng had fallen through. Moreover, they couldn't ask for help from the Grand Change Realm for this matter and could only leave. After leaving the Grand Change Realm, the first thing Xiao Qiandong asked was, Court Pillar Nuala, do you believe Yin Xingwen's words? Nuala showed a slight smile. Yin Xingwen would never take revenge for the Luying Dao Court, nor would he send out the Dao Court's army to capture Ning Cheng just to unseal the demonic creatures in the underground abyss. There must be something we don't know. Chapter 1164. After Ning Cheng returned to the Grand Essence realm, he didn't immediately go to Heaven Essence Sacred City's Tao Court. Instead, he brought everyone to Grand Essence Mountain. Grand Essence Mountain had beautiful scenery and abundant spirit qi. Whether it was Ji Luofei, Ning Ruoqing or Ning Ruolan, they all fell in love with this place as soon as they arrived. Although Ning Cheng's mysterious yellow bead was good, it wasn't completely perfected. Moreover, once Ning Cheng perfected the mysterious yellow bead, everyone would have to leave temporarily. Therefore, when they saw the Grand Essence Mountain, they chose to stay in the Grand Essence Mountain to cultivate. After accompanying Ji Luofei and the others for a while, Ning Cheng received a message from the Tao Court. Whether it was Ning Ruolan or Ji Luofei, they both knew that Ning Cheng was still a Tao Lord of the Grand Essence Realm's Tao Court. Now that the Tao Court sent a message, they naturally didn't dare to let Ning Cheng stay in Grand Essence Mountain. When Ning Cheng arrived at Heaven Essence Sacred City's Tao Court, almost everyone from the Tao Court had already arrived. After a simple greeting to everyone from the Tao Court, Ning Cheng asked, "Court Pillar Li Feng, is there any movement in the Grand Change Realm?" Li Feng stood up and said, "There is indeed movement in the Grand Change Realm. I heard that the Grand Change Realm's Lord Yin Xingwen personally came forward to deal with the Grand Essence Realm. Apart from the Yaohua Tao Court, the other 4 Tao courts in the Grand Change Realm have responded to Yin Xingwen's call." Ning Cheng nodded. This was within his expectations. The reason why he opened the Grand Essence domain and formed a new Tao Court army in the Grand Essence ruins was to deal with the Grand Change Realm. Without Chu Manhe and the others, Ning Cheng would still feel a little uneasy. But with Chu Manhe and more than 30 veteran Tao fusion powerhouses, coupled with the Grand Essence Realm's boundary protecting Grand Array and Trap and Kill Array, he didn't worry about the Grand Change Realm breaking the Grand Essence Realm's boundary protecting Grand Essence Realm. But this time, it's not about the Grand Change Realm, but the appearance of balanced soil. Li Feng said cautiously. Balanced soil? Ning Cheng stood up in surprise. "Court Pillar Li, do you really have news about balanced soil? Where is it?" "Fellow Taoist Xie from the Celestial Pole Island knows this better than me," Li Feng said and retreated. Ning Cheng had already seen the Xie Dao friend that Li Feng spoke of. It was Xie Zhishua from the Celestial Pole Path. Xie Zhishua had advanced to primordial chaos not long ago. Not only was he the sect master of Sky Pole Island, but he was also the top expert of Sky Pole Island. "Xie Tingqing, please tell me about balanced soil." Ning Cheng slightly leaned to the side to show respect. Xie Zhishua was a sect master, and at the same time, he was also the main backbone of the Taisu Tao Court. Although Ning Cheng had contributed to the Grand Essence Tao Court, it did not mean that Ning Cheng could control everything. To put it bluntly, they had a cooperative relationship. Ning Cheng addressing Xie Zhishua as Xie Tingqing was also a show of respect to Xie Zhishua. Firstly, it was a respectful title, and secondly, it highlighted the purpose of the Tao Court. Xie Zhishua had a lot of respect for Ning Cheng, a Tao monarch. Therefore, after giving the Tao monarch enough etiquette, he said, "There are many small planets on the periphery of the Grand Essence Realm, one of which is called the Yi Su Star. Perhaps Tao monarch has never heard of this small place." Ning Cheng nodded but did not speak. He might not have heard of other planets, but he had heard of this elemental star before. Back in the Dark Nether Realm, he was ambushed by the Green Hat Chu Chen and finally blasted out of the Dark Nether Realm by the laws of heaven and earth. He was seriously injured and was rescued by Su Shiqian of the Su clan's corner in the Grand Essence Realm. This Su Shiqian came from the elemental star at that time. The elemental star was filled with primitive mountains and forests. Many low-level starry sky cultivators came here to survive and look for cultivation resources. The Su clan's corner also relied on the elemental star to do some cultivation resource business. Xie Zhishua continued, "After Tao monarch said to look for the primal chaos 5 soils, my everlasting island's disciples also paid attention to these 5 primal chaos soils. I didn't expect that my everlasting sect would actually find one of the 5 soils, the balanced soil. When I got the news, I wasn't in the Grand Essence realm. I wasn't far from the elemental star at that time. I didn't delay and immediately went to the elemental star. Ning Qing felt a little excited. It seemed that his original strategy was correct. If he hadn't spread the news of finding the 5 soils to the entire Grand Essence realm, how could he have known about Shiran? How could he get the news about the balanced soil now? What happened next? Did you get the balanced soil? Ning Qing couldn't wait to ask. He was too eager to repair the Grand Essence realm. Although he knew that Xie Zhishua must have said something wrong, he still had some expectations in his heart. Xie Zhishua spoke up in shame. At that time, the balanced soil appeared in a simple makeshift market of the elemental star. The cultivator who sold the balanced soil didn't know that it was the balanced soil. Because the balanced soil was wrapped in restrictions, it looked like a large piece of good quality segmented soil. So he sold it as a segmented soil, and it happened to be purchased by a disciple of my everlasting island. Ning Qing sighed in his heart. If this piece of balanced soil was still in Xie Zhishua's hands, Xie Zhishua would have taken it out a long time ago. Sure enough, Xie Zhishua continued, just as the transaction was completed, a cultivator suddenly grabbed that piece of segmented soil. He even said that he also wanted this piece of segmented soil and asked my everlasting island's disciple to give it to him. My everlasting island's disciple naturally didn't want it. Under the competition between the two, the restrictions around the piece of balanced soil broke, revealing the balanced soil. Because my everlasting island's disciple had a slightly weaker cultivation, the balanced soil was snatched away from his hands, and he even suffered serious injuries. At that time, because of the exposure of the balanced soil, it caused a large-scale scramble. My everlasting island's disciple didn't want his things to be snatched away, not to mention that he also knew the importance of the balanced soil to my Grand Essence realm. So after sending me a message while suffering serious injuries, he also tried his best to snatch it. In the end, he died in the makeshift market. Ning Cheng's eyes flashed with killing intent. Isu Star was located on the edge of the Grand Essence realm. Although it wasn't protected by the Grand Essence realm's defensive array, it was still considered the Grand Essence realm's territory according to the rules. Not to mention that someone had openly snatched something from the balanced soil in the Grand Essence realm, the Grand Essence realm would never let this matter go. Have you found out who the person who snatched the balanced soil is and where he came from? Ning Qing asked with a cold voice. Xie Zhishua nodded, I've already found out. This person's name is Fang Qi, a rogue cultivator wandering the void. He came from the absolute beginning realm, but as for this person's status in the absolute beginning realm, I don't know. Ning Qing pondered over it for a while before saying, the Grand Change realm wants to deal with my Grand Essence realm this time. I'm afraid that he won't appear outside the Grand Essence realm's defensive array for at least a few years. The matter regarding the balanced soil isn't a trivial matter. I'll go to the absolute beginning realm first. Court Pillarly, please inform Senior Kong. I'll also go out and find a few helpers. From the Grand Essence realm to the absolute beginning realm, with Ning Cheng's current speed, it wouldn't take more than 3 years at most using the teleportation array. Ning Cheng estimated that it would take a few years for the Grand Change realm's tens of millions of Dao court troops to coordinate and appear outside the Grand Essence realm. Although everyone knew that Ning Cheng couldn't leave the Grand Essence realm at this time. It's just that the matter regarding the balanced soil was too important. It was related to the restoration of the Grand Essence realm's laws. The sooner they obtained this thing, the sooner they would be safe. If they were a day late and someone used this thing, it would be over. After Ning Cheng decided to go to the absolute beginning realm, Li Feng and the others stood up and offered to follow Ning Cheng to the absolute beginning realm. Ning Cheng refused them one by one. He asked Kong Xiushan to go with him because Kong Xiushan was a Dao Perfection Holy Emperor. As for Li Feng and the others, they wouldn't be of much help. Moreover, Li Feng and the others had more things to do in the Grand Essence Realm. The Grand Essence Realm had just stabilized, and they had to deal with the upcoming Grand Change Dao Court army. Ning Cheng was about to invite Chu Manhe and Wu Lin, but before Ning Cheng could, Chu Manhe came to find Ning Cheng. Apparently, she knew about Ning Cheng as soon as he appeared in Heaven Essence Sacred City. Following Chu Manhe and Wu Lin, 9 other people came. Ning Cheng knew all 9 of them. They were all holy emperors who had gone to the dragon cleansing pool to recover. Since they appeared here at this time, it meant that they had fully recovered their strength. Ning Cheng observed them and found that Yan Bin, Ji Yi, and Wan Yi were at least half-step Dao perfection experts. As veteran half-step Dao perfection experts, their strength wouldn't be any weaker than Shuriqing. Coupled with the other late-stage primordial chaos experts and Kong Xiushan, not to mention going to the absolute beginning realm, even if they went to the grand change realm, it wouldn't be a problem for them to protect themselves. Kong Xiushan came very quickly, and he was very enthusiastic about Ning Cheng's summons. Ning Cheng had invited him to go to the absolute beginning realm first, and he came right after. It wasn't Ning Cheng's first time coming to the 5 Realms Void City. With his current cultivation level and the speed of the Starry Sky Wheel, it would only take him half a year to go from the Grand Essence Realm to the 5 Realms Void City. Although the 5 Realms Void City led to the 5 Grand Realms, one could only directly teleport to the Absolute Beginning Realm and the Grand Change Realm. To teleport to the other major realms, one would have to teleport outside the realms and then walk a certain distance. Ning Cheng's group of 13 people, except for Ning Cheng who had disguised himself, did not. Ning Cheng had disguised himself because he was too famous. There were only a few people in the 5 Realms Void City who didn't know Ning Cheng. Normally, it would have been fine, but at this time, the Grand Essence Realm and the Grand Change Realm were in a tense situation. Ning Cheng didn't want the people of the Grand Change Realm to know that he had gone to the Absolute Beginning Realm. To teleport from the 5 Realms Void City's teleportation array to the major planes, except for the Grand Change Realm, which was too expensive. The price of the other 4 realms was nothing to Ning Cheng. After the Luoying Dao Court's invasion of the Grand Essence Realm, Ning Cheng had tens of billions of spirit crystals. The teleportation array from the 5 Realms Void City to the Absolute Beginning Realm could teleport 20 people at a time. After Ning Cheng and the others stepped onto the teleportation array, Chu Manhe sent a voice transmission to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng, the person in linen robes on the teleportation array with us is a Dao Integration Sacred Emperor. Even without Chu Manhe's reminder, Ning Cheng had already noticed this Dao Integration Sacred Emperor. When Ning Cheng noticed this person was looking at Kong Xiushan. Kong Xiushan and Chu Manhe were both Dao Integration Sacred Emperors. Kong Xiushan was a Dao Integration Sacred Emperor who had survived the Second Blight. Even so, Kong Xiushan's strength was still far inferior to Chu Manhe's. The linen-robed man could not see Chu Manhe's strength at first glance, but he could see Kong Xiushan's strength. Chapter 1165. You're going to Tai Chu as well? The beautiful woman beside He Dao suddenly asked. Chu Manhe said calmly, that's right. We're going to Absolute Beginning as well. The pretty lady was looking at Kong Xiushan as she asked this question, but the one who answered was Chu Manhe. After Chu Manhe took the initiative to answer, the Dao Integration Cultivator in linen clothes looked at Chu Manhe. Only then did he realize that Chu Manhe's cultivation level was higher than his. This meant that there were at least 2 Dao Integration Stage Holy Emperors in this group. The woman and the Dao Integration Stage Holy Emperor looked at each other and didn't say anything until the teleportation formation was activated. An extreme sense of dizziness struck them, and the Dao Integration Stage Holy Emperor and the beautiful woman discovered that no one in this group had actually fallen unconscious. Time and space constantly changed until everyone's feet touched the ground and they walked out of the teleportation array. Welcome to my absolute beginning realm, fellow Taoists. Is there anything I can help you with? The pretty woman suddenly became enthusiastic. Although she was talking, her eyes were fixed on Chu Manhe and Kang Xiushan. In her opinion, the leader of this group of people was either Chu Manhe or Kang Xiushan. To her surprise, the one who took the initiative to speak was neither Chu Manhe nor Kang Xiushan, but the young man with the lowest cultivation. Thank you. I guess you must be the first pillar of the Taichu Dao court, Noala, right? Ning Qing said with a smile. The beautiful woman was Noala. She and Xiao Qiandong had just returned from the Grand Change Realm because they hadn't reached an agreement with the Grand Change Realm. That's right, I'm Nora. Who are you? Seeing that Ning Qing knew that she was the first court pillar, Noala knew that Ning Qing and the others had most likely come for the Taichu Dao court. Ning Qing cupped his fists and said, My name is Ning Qing, and I come from the Grand Essence Realm. Of course, I came here in disguise. I'm here for two things. The first is to pay a visit to Dao Lord Li, and the second is a private matter. Ning Qing. You're a Dao Lord of the Taisu Dao court. Noala finally understood and looked at Ning Qing in disbelief. She was just about to look for Ning Qing to cooperate with, but she didn't expect Ning Qing to come to the absolute beginning realm. Didn't Ning Qing know that the Grand Change Realm was dealing with him? Since he dared to come to the Grand Beginning Realm, wasn't he afraid that the Grand Beginning Realm would take action against him and take him down? However, when Noala thought of Chu Manhe and the others around Ning Qing, she thought that maybe he really did not need to be afraid. Ning Qing smiled and said again, I am Ning Qing from the Taisu Dao court. I wonder if court pillar Noala can pass a message to me. I would like to meet Dao Lord Li. Visiting Li Jianqing was not something that Ning Qing had come up with on the spur of the moment. Rather, he had planned to do so a long time ago. Among the 5 grand realms, the Grand Beginning Realm was even more broken than the Grand Essence Realm. In fact, among the 5 great realms, besides the Great Change Realm, the Great Beginning Realm was the strongest. Absolute Beginning's foundation was too deep, and there were many capable people. Ning Qing had come to the Absolute Beginning Realm to find Fang Qi, who had taken away balanced soil. It would be difficult for the Absolute Beginning Dao court to not know about it. Ning Qing decided to take this opportunity to visit Li Jianqing while looking for Hengyan. Even if he couldn't bring the Absolute Beginning Realm together to deal with the Grand Change Realm, he could at least stabilize the Absolute Beginning Realm during the war and prevent it from participating in the war. The second was naturally to ask Li Jianqing for help in finding Fang Qi's origin. At this time, Fang Qi probably hadn't returned to the Absolute Beginning Realm yet. As long as he could find his origin, he might be able to find Fang Qi. Ning Qing believed that Li Jianqing wouldn't fall out with the Grand Essence Realm for a piece of balanced soil. Balanced soil wasn't like breath soil, and its value was far less precious. Of course. Dao friends, you can come with us to the Dao court of the Absolute Beginning Sacred Dao City. Our Dao Lord has always admired Dao Lord Ning. We will definitely be happy to see Dao Lord Ning here. Noala understood and said enthusiastically. After that, she sent out a message. She wanted to find Ning Qing. Now that Ning Qing appeared in the Absolute Beginning Realm, how could she not be happy? Whether Noala was telling the truth or not, Li Jianqing's welcome to Ning Qing was not fake. Ning Qing and the others had just arrived at the Absolute Beginning Sacred Dao City when Li Jianqing and a group of important figures from the Dao court came out of the city to welcome them. I've long heard of Dao Lord Ning's name. I've long known that Dao Lord Ning is a peerless genius that only appears once in a trillion years. Today, I, Li Jianqing, can't help but be overjoyed to see Dao friend Ning in the Absolute Beginning Realm. Li Jianqing's youthful face was filled with sincerity and enthusiasm as he greeted Ning Qing from afar. Ning Qing quickly stepped forward and said in the same polite tone, the damage to the Absolute Beginning Realm is far worse than my Grand Essence Realm. Tao friendly can make the absolute beginning realm a powerful place second only to the grand change realm. Ning Qing really admires you. Everyone exchanged pleasantries. Ning Qing briefly introduced Chu Manhe and the others, and Li Jianqing also briefly introduced the people who came with him. Only then did he warmly welcome everyone to the absolute beginning guest hall. Fine wine and divine fruits were served like flowing water. Li Jianqing personally greeted Ning Qing and the others, which showed that he really cared about Ning Qing's arrival. To be honest, Ning Qing didn't expect Li Jianqing to be so polite to him. He was even prepared that Li Jianqing would give him some face in order to please the grand change realm. He hadn't expected that none of this would happen. Instead, he felt a little uncomfortable with the absolute beginning Tao court's enthusiasm. This was definitely not because Li Jianqing knew that he was very strong this time. There were at least 2 Tao integration experts behind Li Jianqing. According to Li Jianqing's introduction, the man in linen clothes who had come with them before was called Xiao Qiandong. The other Tao integration expert who had been sitting next to Li Jianqing was called Timothy. Based on Ning Cheng's judgment, Timothy's strength was probably a little stronger than Kang Shushan's. After 3 rounds of wine, Li Jianqing raised his wine glass and said to Ning Cheng, logically speaking, I should be the one going to the Grand Essence realm to congratulate the establishment of the Grand Essence Tao Court and congratulate Tao friend Ning on becoming a Tao Lord. Now that Tao friend Ning has taken the initiative to come to my absolute beginning realm, I'm really ashamed. This glass of wine is my fault. After saying that, Li Jianqing raised his wine glass and drank it in one gulp. After drinking all the wine in the glass, Li Jianqing continued, Brother Ning, no matter what you come to my absolute beginning realm for, as long as it can be done by the absolute beginning realm, Li Jianqing will not decline. He directly changed the title of Tao Lord to Brother Ning and invisibly pulled his relationship with Ning Qing closer. Such a cautious promise made Ning Qing feel even more apprehensive. He also raised his wine glass and drank it in one gulp. Then, he said, Thank you for your generosity and politeness, Brother Li. This time, I really need your help with something in the absolute beginning realm. I'm sure Brother Li knows that the Grand Change realm is stronger than the Grand Essence realm and forcibly dispatched the Tao Court's army, right? Li Jianqing nodded and said with some disdain, the Grand Change realm's Yin Xingwen is really shameless. The 5 great realms were like brothers in ancient times. Now, for his own selfish desires, he actually wants to use the army against the Grand Essence Tao Court. The absolute beginning realm is extremely dissatisfied with this. Previously, the guardian of the great beginning realm, Xiao Qiandong, and the first court pillar, No Allah, went to the Grand Change realm to persuade them about this matter. However, Yin Xingwen is like a tortoise eating its weight. He has already steeled his heart. However, Taoist Ning, don't worry. In any case, the absolute beginning realm will not sit back and watch the Grand Change realm destroy the Grand Essence realm. Ning Qing found it funny in his heart. If you, Li Jianqing, were so kind, you would have gone to the Grand Essence realm a long time ago. Why would you wait for me to come here today? However, he didn't point it out. Anyone would talk about this kind of thing. If he wanted the absolute beginning realm to stand on his side, or even speak up for the Grand Essence realm, he would need to come up with practical benefits. Many thanks for Brother Li's righteousness. Although the first thing I came here for has nothing to do with the Grand Change realm, I want to form an alliance with the absolute beginning realm. This way, those arrogant people won't be able to do whatever they want unscrupulously. Ning Qing cupped his fists and spoke with caution. Li Jianqing nodded, I have the same idea as Brother Ning. From today onwards, my absolute beginning realm will be an ally of the Grand Essence realm. Even if I can't stop the Grand Change realm from mobilizing the army against the Grand Essence realm, I would still advise the Grand Change realm not to go too far. Ning Qing grew even more puzzled. He couldn't figure out why Li Jianqing spoke so cautiously. It was as if he really wanted to form an alliance with the Grand Essence realm. Did he misunderstand him? Not waiting for Ning Cheng to solve the doubts in his heart, Li Jianqing spoke up again, "Brother Ning, I actually have something I want to ask Brother Ning for help with." Hearing this sentence, Ning Cheng breathed a sigh of relief. That's more like it. If Ning Cheng didn't need his help, then he would feel strange. "Brother Li, please speak. As long as I can help, I won't refuse." Ning Cheng spoke in the same tone as Li Jianqing. Li Jianqing spoke up with joy, "I heard that Brother Ning arranged the extremely powerful boundary protection Grand Array in the Grand Essence realm by yourself." Ning Cheng immediately understood that Li Jianqing wanted him to arrange an array formation. He didn't dare say anything else, but he could arrange an array formation without offending anyone. "Brother Li overpraises me. Although I didn't arrange the Grand Essence realm's boundary protection Grand Array by myself, it was arranged under my leadership." Ning Cheng spoke the truth. His attainments in the Tao of arrays were the highest, so there was no need to hide it. Li Jianqing clapped his hands. "My absolute beginning Pill Unions Association Master Peng Ong once said that Brother Ning is a peerless genius. It seems that it's true. I wanted to arrange a teleportation array, but this teleportation array is a bit difficult. My absolute beginning realm doesn't have many top-level array Tao experts, and the Grand Change realm and I don't get along because of the Grand Essence realm. So, I shamelessly asked Tao friend Ning for help." Ning Cheng nodded, "No problem. But where does this teleportation array lead to? What kind of teleportation array is it?" Li Jianqing stood up, "Brother Ning, this teleportation array is a bit far. I estimate that it will cross more than one positional plane. As for the location, I haven't determined it yet." "Cross more than one positional plane?" Ning Cheng frowned suddenly and said apologetically, "Brother Li, if it's a positional plane, I'm afraid I can't arrange this kind of teleportation array. Even if Brother Li asks for more help, my ability is still limited." When he said this, Ning Cheng thought of Nianyan. Perhaps Nianyan, an array Tao genius, could arrange a positional teleportation array. As for him, he was still far from it. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.